Hey, everybody. This is 372 pages we'll never get back. Michael J. Nelson here, along with Conor Listoka. Conor, how are you?
Well, some days start, you roll out of bed and you listen to your classical music and you take your coffee on the patio.
Yes.
Some days do not.
Which day was this for you? I assume this is leading somewhere.
Yeah. So I, about an hour and a half ago, I'm not going to mince words about this story. So I was on the can.
Sure. Thank you for not mincing and going right to the can. Yes.
I was looking at Instagram. And
on the can. Yep.
I saw that a account I follow had yesterday they had been doing this too. They've been posting around town. They're hiding $100 gift cards to Hen of the Wood, which is probably the best restaurant in town.
Okay.
None of the ones yesterday I saw in time or were close enough that it was feasible to go try to do this scavenger hunt. And keep in mind, as I tell the story, Hen of the Wood is of course closed. There's no way that I would be able to use this gift card. But they do have a dollar oyster happy hour, so that's 100 oysters.
Oh man, that is my dream come true. And Hen of the Wood, by the way, is a mushroom, correct?
Yes, it's yeah. But yeah, so like I've seen multiple people post like boy do I miss getting a big plate of oysters with the presentation and the horseradish. So I had that in mind for some point of time. So they posted one that I saw when I saw it had been posted 4 minutes ago. And so I darted out of the bathroom. I told Lauren I am going down.
So wait, you darted out of the bathroom?
Well, I mean, I finished up. But
okay, I'm just trying to paint a picture here.
And so I told Lauren I'm going to the world's largest filing cabinet to try to get the $100 Head of the Wood gift card. And she accepted that. The world's largest filing cabinet is half a mile from our house. It's like
I did not comment on that because I knew there had to be a follow-up to that, so thank you.
It's our little, largest ball of twine, world's largest fiberglass muskie type of thing.
Right. Why? Look, let's take an aside here before we get into... This is a podcast about bad books, by the way, and we're doing... this is the final episode of Dan Brown's Digital Fortress. But before we get to that... what was the purpose of building? Was it just to build the world's largest?
So it's not even super big. Like if you wanted to build a bigger one, it would be fairly easy. It's
it's just they're staking out area that's not really
exactly.
It's uncontested ground. Okay, sure.
And it was built to comment on bureaucracy of a bypass that was supposed to be built like in the 70s. That is like they just pushed the start date back because of the pandemic to next year. And everyone, laughed at that, but it's, it's that type of thing.
Sure. We all know what that is. But anyway, all right.
So I sped down there
in
the car, honking at people, like running yellow lights. And then I parked. I got out of the car. I sort of ran up to the world's largest filing cabinet, proceeded to just scraped the hell out of the side of my big toe. I was wearing sandals on a piece of metal sticking out of the ground, and just blood sprays everywhere.
Oh, God.
It's like it's pooling in the bottom of my sandal. It hurts. Oh. It was sort of like a callus on the side of my toe that had sort of scraped off. It had just sort of sheared it off. The gift card is, of course, not there, despite the fact that I made it down there like less than 10 minutes after it was posted. Another sort of like hippie dude pulls up behind me, like pretty much as I'm scraping my toe off, who's like, "Whoa, man, I think we're here for the same thing." And it was not there. I scraped the toe. It bled everywhere. I had to make sure I didn't like leave blood up the stairs to the building, and did not get the gift card.
All right, to recap. The tale starts on the can and ends with scraping a callus off your toe on a piece of metal near a large filing cabinet.
And then I get to talk about Dan Brown. Just like the arc of the day has really taken off.
I have this is probably shouldn't be talking about other brands, but I'm going to talk to Kevin later today about my adventure in the middle of an empty parking lot screaming for help. So that'll be coming soon.
All right.
But that's a Patreon extra. So that a little advertisement for our other Patreon. Over at,
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, it's off to a great start and only going to get better as we dive into the conclusion, which, no spoilers here, but was as dumb as advertised.
So dumb. The only regret I have, no real or fanfic this, but
I know.
I'm sure we've got listener mail. And
we do. We got mail, we got dumb sentences, and, the real or fanfic for last time, which is all about this final segment, cast in an even dumber light, knowing more details about like how we got to the point and what the characters are going through when they do the dumb things.
Yeah, I think 3 of 5 last time were real. And we're going to be encountering those tidbits that tantalized us so much. So let's dive in.
Yeah, we start at chapter 101, where we
Dan
learn...
Brown 101, the course that you took in college when you first got there. Here we go. Yes,
learn to suck. The professor said, "Turn to your left, turn to your right. One of you will have learned to suck by the end of the semester."
Yes,
but yeah, it starts with it turns out that the world's greatest assassin tripped on a pole and fell down the stairs and died.
Candle pole? Was that what it was called?
Sure, a candle pole, like those things that we've all encountered.
Because he compared it to like no candle pole could outreach a gun.
Yes,
something like that.
But yeah, it says Becker kneels down, presses the gun against his temple. One twitch and he would fire, but there was no twitch. Hula Hot was dead. So Hula Hot, just for the record, he showed up, shot I think 6 dozen bullets at his target. One of them grazed him, and then he tripped and died.
Yes,
and the fraying refrigerator-sized incense censer just played no role in anything.
No role whatsoever. It's hanging overhead on a frayed rope. It is ignored.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you think he forgot?
I mean, it would have had to go back into the church, I guess. I guess you could just... I don't know. It boggles the mind.
The first thing I noted was Brown is not done with you yet, Spain. The morning sun was blinding when Becker finally stepped out of the Heralda.
Yeah, I think so.
Onto the patio.
Yeah, it's
so even the morning sun doesn't get a break from Dan Brown. He hates the sun in Spain, hates it with a passion. Most people are fond of the morning sun.
Yeah, exactly.
People seek it out.
It doesn't get that Looney Tunes da na 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 na. It just goes straight into the Norwegian, church burning metal as soon as the sun rises in Spain.
Yeah, I assume that we mentioned it before. And this, as he stepped into the sun, we heard that George Crumb piece that's in The Exorcist, like the electric violin scraping. The sun.
Meanwhile, children are like playing in a fountain. People are eating, gelato or something. Young lovers. I've never been, but I'll say if anyone wants to offer me, having read Dan Brown, and they go like, "Honey, let's not go to Spain," just send your tickets to me. I'll go to Spain and I'll endure the piercing morning sun. See if I can survive it. There has been nothing in the book. Yeah, I've been there twice. I would go again in a heartbeat.
Okay.
There's, I've put in 195 days on Duolingo for Spanish. I can go there and ask someone for a green purse. But I like this thing. Becker is sort of fleeing the scene. The body is dead, but as he strode away from the tower, a van skidded to a stop nearby. 2 men jumped out. They were young and dressed in military fatigues. They advanced on Becker with the stiff precision of well-tuned machines. So when you think of, I think well-oiled is the more common phrase, but when you think of a well-oiled or well-tuned machine, you often think of it being very stiff. That's it seemed counterintuitive to me.
It's once again Dan Brown trying to make up new, he uses cliches 97% of the time, and then when he veers away, it's like, you know what, just use the cliche. We're good with that.
It's so much more jarring.
When he meets these 2 chaps, we get something that I thought was well short of Mander.
Uh-huh.
We get Becker stopped short, amazed they knew his name. Who are you? which is sure that's the way people talk. Whatever.
Sure, yes.
But it pales to Commander, but it's a nice try.
But he's probably saying that because there was something unreal about the encounter, something that made Becker's nerve endings start to tingle again. So I think that he's saying that if you ever have found yourself walking away from a international assassin that you just killed in a chapel, your day might start to seem unreal to you, which
sure,
I think probably, regardless of men approaching you from a van.
I acknowledge that. And then the chapter ends. The final sentence is one of those Dan Brown wonderful mixed metaphors. A searing lance of pain erupted in Becker's chest. It rocketed to his skull.
Wow.
Wait,
God.
I'm packing a lot in there. Then his fingers went stiff and he fell. There was nothing but blackness. So he's dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Becker's dead.
Yeah, the horrible metaphor took the effect on him.
Yes.
It's
he was overcome by the metaphor, and he is now dead.
Well, that's not the last of the mixed metaphors we get. We have another doozy of one upcoming, I think, but that's how that chapter ends.
And the chapters are the shortest I think we've ever had because this is the most we've covered, right?
Yeah, it goes to 128, so this is a total of 29 chapters, I guess. All garbage. But he had to hit that mythical mark of 128 to have some sort of bit significance. But 102. 102 takes us back to the NSA's crypto wing, where Strathmore is... I guess down in the thing trying to stop the translator from catching on fire. He realizes that it was ironic, Strathmore thought, that Chartruchian had been right about the virus all along. And it's Alanis Morissette is wincing at the use of that. It's
no black fly in your Chardonnay, I'll say that as far as irony goes.
It was ironic that someone was right.
Yeah.
It's a professional who is trained in this field was correct.
I think before that, now just to set the scene, what I was picturing here is it's just some movie where the mechanism, it's, think of a Bond movie and there's buzzers going off, right? And people are driving around frantically. This is a little smaller than that, but it's like, that's what we're at DEF CON 1 or whatever. And it's,
there's
everything's
klaxons,
going to hell.
Sirens,
red lights are everywhere. And in the middle of it, huge droplets of water fell like rain through the swirling mist. The warning horns sounded like thunder. So now we're getting weather stuff. But if you'll remember, a chapter before, the humidity fell like rain on Susan.
Oh, yes.
So lots of crap is falling like rain and things are sounding like thunder.
Yeah.
But all of it is comparable to weather phenomenon. So whatever it is, the horns, the rain, the humidity, the lights, everything is like some weather phenomenon.
It's falling like rain on your wedding day. Yes.
Yes. Yes, to bring it back to Alanis Morissette, of course.
Is it from the sprinkler system? Is it trying to put out some sort of, is that why the rain is sputtering, or is it the cooling system that is failing?
It's so unclear. He just pictures. I think he's just telling you to picture something that you've seen
Das
from a movie.
Boot, yeah,
yep, exactly. Pipes are bursting and people are screaming, and that's the scene that Strathmore's in the middle of.
So he's reminiscing about how he threw Chartruchian down the ladder and he died. But he said the man's plunge had been chilling, a momentary howl of terror, then silence, but it was not half as chilling as the next thing Commander Strathmore saw. Greg Hale was staring up at him from the shadows below, a look of utter horror on his face. It was then that Strathmore knew Greg Hale would die. And so before that moment, he had perceived Hale to be immortal. He's going to walk the earth cursed forever, to never have a death and to see all his loved ones perish before him. But now Strathmore knew it was going to happen.
That's right. He was an immortal elf who was going to go into the east or whatever. But we get it's the fanfic from before about the body.
Okay.
Which I don't know if we want to revisit it, but do you remember this?
No.
Okay, so Strathmore eyed the grotesque remains and made his way over. Reaching up, he grabbed a wrist. The flesh was like styrofoam.
Right.
The tissue had been fried. The whole body was devoid of moisture. So it was falling like rain, and it was humid, but the flesh was devoid. The commander closed his eyes, tightened his grip around the wrist, and pulled. The body slid an inch or two. Strathmore pulled harder. The body slid again. The commander braced himself and pulled with all his might. Suddenly he was tumbling backwards. He landed hard on his backside, up against a power casement. Ooh, power casements.
Oh, yeah.
World of Star Wars there. Struggling to sit up in the rising water, Strathmore stared down in horror at the object in his fist. It was Chartrukian's forearm. It had broken off at the elbow. Anyway, that was in real or fanfic earlier, but I just wanted to revisit that. That's a real thing that's happening.
Right.
It's styrofoam body, and he breaks off the arm.
Yeah, it's been maybe an hour or two. I doubt my own ability to tear off an arm from a recently dead body, but maybe I'm just not thick-fleshed enough.
That's right.
Well, then it goes back to Susan, who's hanging out in, of course, the plush-carpeted Node 3. Greg Hale's corpse disappeared into the darkness, and Susan instinctively yanked her legs up onto the couch. She wrapped Strathmore's suit coat around her. So our hero has instinctively turned into a woman in a tea, soup, or yogurt ad during this difficult time.
That's right. Is she eating the yogurt off the back of the spoon and then pulling it upwards and going, as she smacks her lips?
Or just savoring the aroma as she cups an enormous mug with both hands.
Right. An oversized sweater, of course. Yes. We also get, I wondered, I will appeal to you because I'll let you issue this, whether or not you want to issue this as settle down.
I got my stamp ready.
Here you go. It's by the way, Conor's stamp is comically oversized. It's 4 feet wide and has like 2 hand grips on it.
Yeah, it's taking up a lot of room. It's causing some friction.
Lauren loves it, especially during this time when you're both together closely. I sacrificed this is the mind of Strathmore. I sacrificed the best years of my life for country and honor. But what about love? He had deprived himself for far too long. So he's talking to himself, but whatever.
Sure.
And for what? To watch some young professor steal away his dreams? Strathmore had nurtured Susan. He had protected her. He had earned her. So does the stamp come out or not?
Yeah, I think it's a settle down. I think it's a firm settle down for just the out of control, old, thick-fleshed, horny guy.
The horniness, it came so late in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
It was unearned horniness. Old, thick-fleshed, sweaty horniness.
Because it says, and now at last he would have her. She would seek shelter in his arms when there was nowhere else to turn. She would come to him helpless, wounded by loss, and in time he would show her that love heals all. It sounds like one of the every week or so there's one specific screenshot of a Reddit post that goes viral. I pretended to like D&D I've been married to my wife for 3 years, and I admitted it to her and she got really angry, and so and then people circulate that and make fun of it. This is like Strathmore posting. I sent an assassin to murder a hot 170 IQ coworker of mine, and then she got angry. Am I the asshole here?
Strathmore. God, if only your flesh wasn't so thick. That's all I got for 102. Going on to 103.
Yeah, 103 starts very impressive. The last chapter we had Susan praying, and then this chapter has some more religious imagery. The commander rose through the trap door like Lazarus back from the dead. Despite his soggy clothes, his step was light. He strode toward Node 3, toward Susan, toward his future. This is where I had my first settle down.
Oh, that was your first. Okay.
Well, of this, well, it's only been 3 chapters.
Yeah, that's true.
But so several people have died today. 2 of them in his office, and none of them are coming back from the dead. So if you wanted to apply that metaphor much more accurately, it would be about one of them. And rise from the dead, people don't move up like the guy in Nosferatu, That's the fact that he's actually emerging out of a trap door is not something Lazarus did. Rise is a figurative term in that description.
Yeah, I also, when I was reading that, I assumed it was one of the people who were dead. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, who actually didn't die? What,
Right, yeah.
which would have been an actual twist of some sort.
Yeah, he was
Like,
not
Hale,
thought to have died.
yes, Hale, knew how to fake, because he was a Marine. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't actually dead.
Yeah, he put the ball under his armpit and cut off his pulse or whatever.
That's right. So that was a surprise. But the whole chapter is about her or him discovering that Susan has seen his. Is it it's the Sky Pager.
Sky Pager,
Sky
yes.
Pager.
Someone wrote in to remind me where I had heard of that. There's a Tribe Called Quest song that's all about Sky Pagers. They were
No way.
They were 1993. They were just, I guess, a sort of symbol of technology, being cool. So it uses that brand name in the title. Yeah.
So there's a subject and then and then we get the lines. This is basically the list of people that Hulo Hot. Elio.
Sure.
Where's he from again?
I don't remember, but no one wrote in to correct us on that guy's pronunciation. So
we got to go to Fax King and figure this out.
That comes up.
Does that come up?
Oh, I mean, I have several things that I need to verify on Fax King in this episode.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we can root that out in a separate episode or something. But anyway, they come up as subjects, and then they're just simple lines. And I did not have a Sky Pager, but I wondered about that. So it's subject David Becker, terminated. Strathmore hung his head. His dream was over. And so that was the message, but I just wonder if there was a text body to the message after that from Hulo, like... Yeah, so, that's pretty much it. But great day in here's Seville. It's hot, though. How are you? What's happening in the note? I just wish it had fleshed it out a little bit from Hulo. Yeah, my glasses are working good. I'm glad you guys sent me these things. These are sweet. But now he's very terse.
If it had one or two, embarrassing typos that was like, damn it, still haven't gotten to the whole hang of this, but it's for the most part, it's a good system, this typing in the air.
Screwed up all three theirs, there, and there are all, the wrong versions of it.
Yeah, he types, duck, it's hot out here. Oh, come on.
Yes. Anyway, that's that chapter. That's all I had. So it's, plot-wise, it's her seeing that he is, obviously hired a contracted killer, and David is dead.
Yes.
So
I just had one more thought about here. He describes her as standing before him, damp and tousled in his blazer.
Oh, God.
She looked like a freshman co-ed who'd been caught in the rain. He felt like the senior who'd lent his varsity sweater. Just like co-ed is one of those words that... old people use, and it always just sounds, gross when they say it.
Co-ed is so, how old is that? I feel like that's, Marx Brothers from 29 or something. Boy, I can't wait to dig into those co-eds.
But his reaction when he realizes that she's seen his pager, now it was Strathmore who went rigid. So we can leave it at that and move along.
Oh, dear. All right.
104. I don't have a lot of notes here, but
I am going to have to pass on that because I have a dumb sentence from 104. But
okay,
we're going to have to pass over that.
Well, yeah, he sort of comes up. He wraps his arms around her, and the touch was familiar yet repulsive, which is amazing. And he says, "I love you. I've loved you forever. The pain will pass. You'll love again. Stay with me. I'll heal your wounds." And why he even is able to say one of those things, let alone 6 of them, is amazing. But I think it ends with translator catching on fire, or the processors, the many processors. Yeah.
So he's gone. Strathmore now is stark raving horny, I guess is the way to put it.
Wow.
And
I'm gonna use that one.
I'm gonna use it. But it is so bizarre that because she is always being thrown around like a bag of rice by these guys, right? Doesn't she say about Hale, like the touch was familiar but repulsive earlier?
Yeah, probably.
How much are these guys grabbing you around the node? For God's
they literally
sake?
He carried her like a sack of potatoes over his shoulder up the stairs when he did the shoe throwing diversion.
But I think she said that about anyone touching her. It's like, yeah. So what's going on in the node, man? They need to get HR in there on the double. 105?
105 has some good ones. Let's start with this one. I'm going to burn a DSOTW because I've skipped a few already. A fireball racing upward through 3 million silicone chips makes a unique sound. You don't say that act that you've described that has never been described or happened before is it might be unique, huh?
Unique things are very unique when you think about it. I have this. Let me see. Oh, how he writes these contradictory sentences just so easily, and then no editor corrects them. So, Susan's mind told her to run, but David's dead weight pressed down all around her. So you got that. So picture that.
Okay.
David's pressing down. She's pressed down all around. She thought she heard his voice calling to her, telling her to escape, but there was nowhere to go. So is it pressing down all over her, or is it telling her to escape and doing the opposite thing?
Yeah.
Which one is it doing?
Can she not escape because there's nowhere to go, or because the body is pressing down on her while telling her to go?
He just writes it, and wouldn't you'd circle that, right? Lauren would circle it.
I think
say,
so.
Let's clarify this. Is she being pressed or?
Yeah, I would get irritated that I had to fix it, and then I would go in here and fix it and come out and be like, "You were right."
Yes. But anyway, and then I have a couple dumb sentences for this chapter.
Okay, yeah. It says that the crypto floor began to tremble as if below it an angry sea monster were rising out of the depths. So it's been described as like the gate to hell. It's and then somehow there's a sea monster. I don't know if that makes a unique sound or not. An angry sea monster rising out of the depths of crypto, but I would have to assume, since sea monsters usually don't go to crypto,
right?
They stay in the sea. And yeah, he just sort of ends. I forget what this is all about, but he hugs her again, clutching desperately, kissed her cheeks. "Forgive me," he begged, and I guess she finally decides to take off. And he's left down there. I don't know why he can't escape either.
Well, this is when he dies, and all right, I'll burn a sentence here because we have to do something in the actual moment of what's happening. And by the way, visually, if you look at this chapter, the word translator is here more than any other. It's half of the words in this chapter.
Nice.
But here we go. I'm going to burn a dumb sentence. This is a couple sentences, but you'll understand. In a brilliant flash of light, Commander Trevor Strathmore passed from man to silhouette to legend. Oh my God, is that bad? His final word, Susan.
Yeah, that's
oh God, it's so bad.
Let's parse that. You pass from man to silhouette to legend. That's not necessarily a natural progression. I think that was what Reagan was originally going to say when instead of slip the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God, they passed from man and woman to silhouette to legend, and they were like, "Sir, absolutely not."
No. Again, red pen, heavy wax red pen. But I think that's the end of Strathmore, right? There's no fake death here.
No fake death, and it is the end in the book. However, you pass into legend. I sort of wondered what that entailed. Like,
sure.
Are they going to hang, a picture up in the lobby type of thing? Give him a statue outside of the thing? And I went looking for answers on the recreation center of the dark web, recreation, I guess, not the rec center, but found some interesting thing. They didn't speculate They didn't speculate about how they were going to deal with this at the NSA, since that's a thorny issue.
True.
You reward someone's service, maybe, but they also, he killed 2 NSA members, so he's a traitor. But
he was running his own secret operation. He was going around everything. He was hiring hitmen and hit crews, and
it's a thorny ethical issue, and the dark web people didn't want to get into it, but they did speculate on the afterlife.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were, he passes from silhouette to legend, and then bam, wakes up in the afterlife, and they sort of fleshed out what that might look like, or what it might sound like, I guess.
Oh, fascinating. And you didn't, so I'm glad that you didn't have to burn money on the 372 players to recreate this. This was readily available.
Well, yeah, it's these are unprecedented times, and we've got to we support the arts, of course, but we can't be throwing things away willy-nilly. But dark web, nothing is copyrighted on there. So
all right, and I assume we'll post the where you found this on the dark web up on our link, and you can
you can check it out for yourself.
And hit and upvote it and like it.
All
right,
yep.
So let's give it a listen.
All right.
Hold me, Susan. I need you. Susan! Where am I?
Oh, come on, Commander. You're a clever guy. Harps, fluffy white clouds, and me, Susan Fletcher in a skimpy nurse's uniform.
I'm in heaven?
You better believe it, hot stuff. Eternal paradise awaits. That means you can crack my code anytime you want.
Oh my God.
Let me get rid of these Salvatore Ferragamo flats, and you can watch me dig my stockinged feet into these plush carpetings.
Oh yeah, that's what Strathy likes.
Your old harpy of a wife could never match brains and legs like mine, could you, you thick-fleshed legend?
No, thick-fleshed legend, that's me.
We spent a lot of time in Node 3, but why don't I show you Node 69?
Wait!
Aw, what is it, Commander?
This can't be real. I'm going to walk over to you, and you're going to turn into something horrible, aren't you?
Oh, what makes you say that, Strathy?
I'm going to kiss you, and then when I pull back, you're going to be Jabba sweating. And when you take off your skirt where the goods should be, there'll just be a big, gross calzone.
There's nothing gross under there, big boy.
I couldn't have gone to heaven. I lived an incredibly immoral life. I have to be in hell.
Let's just say that I sure don't go without wax.
I betrayed my marriage vows. I committed adultery in my heart.
You thought that David left me not walking straight. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I lied to and spied on citizens who trusted me.
I borrowed some marmalade from Carmen Huerta. We all know the origin of marmalade, but only you get to find out where it's going to end up.
I signed off on assassinations of innocent civilians.
I'll record the whole thing in 5 frames per second QuickTime so you can watch us get busy whenever you want.
I personally murdered 2 people in the last 3 hours, for God's sake.
Whoa. What's all this?
What? God?
Yeah, it's me, the big man. Couldn't help overhear all those sins you just confessed to.
Well, I was just being colorful.
It appears you were admitted by mistake. Box went unchecked on your application, but glad you were honest. With all the volume we got up here, we'd never have caught that. Not in a million years.
You wouldn't have?
Nope. Well, enjoy hell. Without wax, you say?
That's right, big man.
Meet me at Stone Manor in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, in hell...
My God. My head is sweating even more than usual.
How do you like my nurse's uniform, Strathy?
Oh, hey, Jabba. Oh, I'm not going to like this, am I?
Oh, you are not. The calzone is stuffed with poo, and it's downhill from there.
Oh, damn it. I hate hell.
So, yeah, that's the end of Trevor Strathmore. That's he probably should have kept his mouth shut.
Plausible. I mean, obviously they weren't there. I don't think anyone was there, but it does it comports with my view of the afterlife and my worldview. So
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evil is punished, and it sounds like I don't know. I got my fingers crossed. That's how it works out for me. So sounded like it would be fun up there.
Right. Would you? Well, I don't want to get into it. It's too personal, but would you choose Susan as your? I mean, given the entire world, or would you want to be with your wife forever? Or... I
I'll
just want to get it on record.
I'll have to see what the Rule 34 drawings of Susan look like before I need some artistic representation.
All right, Chapter 106.
Chapter 106, I just have a note. Jabba calls Fontaine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have a dumb sentence.
Okay.
But there's been a few.
Yeah.
I'll burn this.
Do it.
Because it's not that great, but it's pretty good. It's like just so stupid. It's a tiny chapter, right? And in the middle of this is the end of the chapter. This is supposed to sustain you to turn the page.
Okay.
The page turner thing. Across the suite, Fontaine's phone began to ring. Oh my God, a ringing phone in Fontaine's office. Final sentence set on its carriage return on its own. It was Jabba. So if you're working in an office with what are there, 6 people?
Right, it appears to be.
That we know of?
Yes.
So the phone rings. Oh my God.
Who could it possibly be?
Who could it be?
He does that look like Harrison Ford sort of look at the camera with his like lower jaw quivering as he...
Yeah. It was Midge asking him if he wants to go to the buffet or did he grab a sandwich from the commissary?
Yes, right.
What? There's only 6 people. What is it supposed to be the end of a chapter that it was Jabba? Yep.
Yeah, I left my car lights on. I need a jump, man.
Yes. Hey, I think I left I left a soldering iron under your. Could you just check? It would have been right to your right there. No, Jabba, there's nothing here. Okay, thanks, man. So long.
I'll call someone else and freak them out with a dramatic phone call.
Calzones later.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so long, Jabba.
Save some for me. He loves his calzones.
That's the end of chapter 106. Very tiny chapter.
107 starts with thick, acrid smoke billowed upwards. Susan knew the smell. Silicon smoke, deadly poison. So are all NSA codebreakers
smoke?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are all NSA codebreakers well versed in poison gas smell identification, or just the super geniuses?
This comes up a couple times with her different reactions to the smoke here, but I was impressed that she could immediately identify thick, acrid smokes.
Silicon
I think that's
burning.
a course that you go through. It's like, here's thick, acrid smoke A.
Right.
Okay, I've got that in my mind. I'm writing notes. It's like a sommelier, like.
Yes.
I think that is Spanish. I think the grape is Roja. Anyway, so yes, so. Wait, which chapter are we on?
107.
107, okay. Super genius mode.
Okay.
She instantly knew the odds. 26 to the 5th power. 11,881,376 possible choices.
Yeah.
So at other times, again, she doesn't know who people are, what she's doing, but in panic mode with thick, acrid smoke filling her lungs, she contemplates the odds.
26 to the 5th power. Yeah.
Yes. Can't you just back of the envelope it and know that that's not going to work? Why do we have to get the detail?
Right, and it doesn't even matter because this is the keypad of the private elevator, and clearly she's not. She wouldn't be able to type in 5 of these. She has to pick what she thinks it is, and I'm gonna brag about this. I wrote down, I think, a page and a half earlier. Oh my God, the password's going to be Susan. Maybe some people guessed it earlier, but at some point in time, I realized what it was going to be.
You didn't think that it would maybe be tiny hint of Susan's bra strap, just to make it a little harder to guess? No, Strathmore was a little too on the nose with that. Susan's wet sheer shirt might have been another, but he went with the basics there.
Right. So if someone had ever been like, sir, we need to service the elevator, like, can you just let us know what the password is, or NSA probably makes you change it once every 2 weeks, once every month. Like a lot of offices do that aren't national security. So he has had probably different variations. He might have had SF bra for Susan Fletcher bra, or S love me. I don't know. So,
sir, we require that there be an alphanumeric key. You can't keep putting in Susan's bra, Susan's panties. we require at least one extraneous character, an uppercase, a lowercase, and 4
sir,
numbers.
It cannot be SUS69. That is, we're just going to say that right away. We saw what you're about to type.
Oh, it's because of my thick flesh, isn't it? No, sir, it's a security thing. Yeah. Trust us.
Right. So he types in SUSIN, and an instant later the doors slid open. That's how she's going to escape the horrible fire, the inferno of what's it called? Crypto.
Translated?
Yes, translated has been on fire. I hope that those solar panels are not made of silicone either, because that would be acrid smoke if those ever went up in flames.
Indeed. Well, imagine the acrid smoke if the what is it? The center, the incense box.
Oh, the center, the frayed rope fridge.
Yeah. So we get Chekhov's elevator here, which really amounts to nothing. Like, who cares?
Right.
His office could have been across the hall, and she escaped it by guessing a code. Like, the elevator really is immaterial. But he pays off on Chekhov's elevator. But how many other things did he just leave sitting by the side of the road abandoned?
Yeah. He blary-on-ed them.
Yes. So, but anyway, the elevator pays off huge because Susan guesses the code and gets away. So
yeah, she takes it down. Chapter 108. She takes it down to the underground highway or tunnel that connects different parts of the NSA.
Yeah,
and a golf cart pulls up. The vehicle came to a stop beside her. "Miss Fletcher!" an astonished voice exclaimed. Susan gazed at a vaguely familiar shape in the driver's seat of an electric golf cart. So the vaguely familiar shape is of a human being.
Yes, human beings are vaguely.
She spent her mental capacity, I think, on that 26 to the 5th power.
Yep, it's all gone. And then we get the beautiful piece of formal introduction in the middle of, again, this is the Bond thing, the blowing up, the villains, everyone's running everywhere in white Tyvek suits and screaming and falling off of railings and stuff.
They're on fire,
falling into pits of acid. And Chad Brinkerhoff, he sputtered, studying the shell-shocked cryptographer. Directorial PA. Oh, okay. I don't need your resume right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
driving a golf cart. I assume that you probably work here.
No need for formalities. My card. Would you like to check my credentials? Or I can bring you back to the office and show you. I do work here. Like, look, you're a vaguely familiar shape.
I sent you a LinkedIn request a month and a half ago. You never responded to it, but I didn't want to bring that up until I guess I just did bring it up. But let's start over. But that's nothing compared to the other introduction we get. This is very impressive. So Leland Fontaine finally meets her. He is introduced thusly. Striding toward them was an enormous black man.
Oh, man. Yes.
And so how does he react in this thing? The enormous man arched his eyebrows. Even sooty and soaked, Susan Fletcher was more striking than he had imagined.
When was he imagining her?
Why was he imagining her?
I don't know.
She's the second in command or the third in command of a major division. He's never met her, right? Like he's never.
Yes, I have no idea what is the structure of the NSA? Aren't they having regular meetings with the director? I'm scared if they're not.
They might be having regular meetings to say there's a super hot babe working in crypto because word has made his way to him.
Yes,
but they also don't have an online database of employee badge photos or something that clearly he would have been like, oh, okay. Tap, like, sir, are you looking her employee photo? It was like, well, everyone was talking about how hot she is. Of course I'm going to.
Even more striking than he had imagined. So he did spend time imagining it. So we know that. But we get this a little bit earlier. The high-speed Kensington golf cart rounded a corner and skidded to a stop.
Wow, a little product placement.
Yeah, subsidiary of Sparklets? Are they branching out into...
Those are the two we got. Wow.
Beverage dispensing and maybe building small battery-powered vehicles for the NSA? I don't know. Anyway.
Tropicana has been like, you mentioned juice 8 dozen times and you didn't bother to drop a brand name for that, you son of...
Yes. Oh, that added such color, because when the golf cart came skidding to a stop, I wondered, excuse me, can't paint this picture unless I know which brand it is.
Right. It's those weird Florida retirement communities where everyone drives golf carts around. That was the target there, that he has an in with the golf cart weirdos.
Yeah, the old people in those communities are going, well, is it tricked out? Did he put the fenders with the 2 seats on the back or not? Otherwise, why are you mentioning it, whippersnapper? All right.
We had they sort of take her back to I guess another secret door, which left us with this moment. He placed his right hand against a small glass panel. A strobe flashed. A moment later, the massive wall thundered left. There was only one NSA chamber more sacred than crypto, and Susan Fletcher sensed she was about to enter it. So he opened a door and waved her in, and then she sensed she was about to enter the passageway. It's just incredible.
Again, all that brain power used up by trying to figure out how many pass keys she had to enter.
It's like your run meter in a video game where you use it up and then you have to walk for 5 more seconds as it refills.
The thing I thought about that was a moment later, the massive wall thundered left. It's only massive if you're a tiny striking woman like Susan, but not if you're a massive black man. Yes. Then it's just a normal wall to you. But it was from her perspective. So well done, True. Dan Brown. Chapter 109.
Chapter 109, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. We're moving right along here.
Oh my God, this has another one. Just my first note is. Her run meter refills pretty slowly, I think. She needs to go exchange 4 gems for an upgrade or something.
Yeah.
Susan stared at the dazzling facility. Okay. All right. I mean, sure, she's never been here before. She vaguely remembered that 250 metric tons had been excavated to create it. So she's vaguely remembering an incredibly specific niche detail that it's just incredible.
Wasn't there? We did a movie for Riff Tracks once where there was a giant secret underground lair under a house. Oh no, it's Jurassic Park. Remember they have the huge in the latest
the dinosaur auction.
Yeah. That hole with armies staffed underneath his house.
Yeah, and huge cages.
I think you'd vaguely remember when contract workers were there for 3 years on end, loading in things and hauling away 250 million cubic tons of dirt. Yeah. So yeah, she vaguely remembers that happening. Yeah.
Where do you want me to put these floor-mounted leg shackles? Everything on the up and up here. I just shouldn't be asking questions when I'm constructing your dinosaur prison.
Here's some good Dan Brown garbage prose. As if trapped in some surreal nightmare, Susan followed Fontaine toward the podium. Her world was a slow-motion blur. Yes, a surreal nightmare. So the word that means dreamlike. So it's a nightmare that's like a dream. Got it. Okay.
Well, I guess
Dan Brown.
There's nightmares where, your teeth are falling out, and then there's nightmares where you're just like slowly packing to go to the airport, which I guess are more mundane type of thing. So,
okay, all right, I'll allow it.
But this is a what was it? She slowly moved forward as in a daze or something.
A slow motion blur.
Yeah, get used to that as with our genius heroine, because that's how she's just like doped up the way that they would get Elvis on stage in his later years, or Jerry Garcia. They're just sort of, pointing her towards something, and she's standing there drooling essentially as the next few chapters unfold. Yep,
she's fugue state from here until the very, very end of the book. She's completely dissociated from her experience in life and just sitting there sort of, I assume, soaking wet.
Yes, yeah, sooty, her mascara's, smeared, but in an extremely alluring way.
Striking.
So this is like the underground code center, and Jabba is holding court, outranking God himself. But this is the first note I had about that same thing. Susan hovered nearby, unable to focus, which is just a good 6-word description of her.
Wow, unable to focus. Here's a weird thing in the middle of all this again. So this is the big board. Now we're in the location we're going to be, right?
Yeah.
Just to sort of set the scene. We're in again, picture a movie where everyone's like, somebody snapping fingers and going, come on, people, I need that information. Let's go. And voices are yelling out like, we got 5 minutes. That's the rest of the book, just to, no spoilers there.
Yeah,
but
Apollo 13 command center, essentially.
Yeah. In the middle of it, all of this, it's not a virus, Brinkerhoff exclaimed hopefully. Jabba snorted in disgust. Viruses have replication strings, pretty boy. This doesn't. And I just thought, well, I mean, Brinkerhoff, I forget the descriptions of him. There's a couple of details, but I guess when you're a tadpole pig man, everyone else seems like a pretty boy. So right. I'll allow it. And we're all under stress, but it seems like a weird time to call out someone as pretty boy.
Right.
I was just asking if it was a virus or not. What does that have to do? How long have you been harboring this thing? Are you attracted to me? What are you saying? Like,
ever since you turned me down for going out for Dr. Peppers, I've resented you.
But Brinkerhoff was the one smearing marmalade or jelly.
Oh, yes, on Carmen Huerta. Yeah, it's and he was. I think they said he was handsome enough to give press conferences, but it said handsome enough. I don't know. It's not like.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe Jabba saw the tapes or whatever of Carmen Huerta. I don't know. But anyway, it just seemed weird in the middle of all of this. Like, can we focus, please? Insulting me for...
But he goes off and he does that, the 100% IT guy thing of like, it's virus, because he calls it a worm and sort of goes off about that for a while. But he says... right now it's spreading out and attaching itself to all our classified data. After that, it could do anything. It might decide to delete all the files, or it might just decide to print smiley faces on certain White House transcripts. And I was like, come on, it would print wangs on them. We understand how this would work. Like
smiley faces, please. Yeah. It's like a Joker level stuff there. Here's a strange moment. After a moment of confused astonishment, the implications hit Jabba like a bullet to the gut. The huge cis sect, again, in the middle of it, the huge cis, yes, we know,
yes, right,
looked like he was about to crumble. Dead, but then that means we can't, and I'll just add, come, Mander. But anyway, the way he's been physically described, I feel like he could have been shot several times and never even known it. So
yeah,
the fact that a bullet to the gut is like,
yeah, he's the X-Men villain, the Blob at this point.
Yeah, he could just absorb it and go. So it's just a weird thing to keep describing how huge and gross and fat and slimy and
sweaty and
repulsive, and then like a bullet to the gut.
Right.
It's just a phrase. Again, Dan Brown, don't branch out. Stay with the cliches.
But then we get to meet Soshi, who I will eat crow. I did not expect to actually meet her, but to my credit, she adds absolutely nothing to the proceedings going forward, other than just to be another voice to yell things out as we reach our conclusion.
A 90-pound live wire, please.
Yes,
we need that. There's not a lot of live wire on display here with Soshi till the end. She could have been any one of the anonymous voices. It's funny that he chose to focus to to point her out as opposed to all the anonymous voices going like, we've got 2 minutes, sir. She could have just been one of those.
Yeah, it's the way Klein named the other characters in his book, like Dato and Sho, are just sort of like we don't need to know who these extra people are. They just show up to say, like, finish each other's sentences and stuff.
Yeah. But in this chapter begins the hilarious, I don't have all the, maybe you have tracked them, but all of the Jabba getting saucy with the director, and the director going like, look, pal, I'll allow it now. And It happens like 100 times of him just going, swearing and like, you wouldn't know shit if it hit you in the face. Like, look, you can't talk to me that way. However, we are doing this.
Yes. Yeah. Jabba's insolence was way out of line, but Fontaine knew this was neither the time or the place to handle it.
And then it happens like 400 times. So, Jabba, I think you have free reign. Don't even worry about it at this point, because this obviously is not the time or place to handle it.
Well, I think we move on to 110.
Yes.
And this is where we sort of start to get some of the, the techie speak about what's going on here. And there, again, more mixed metaphors. Jabba says, we're tied into the global internet. The hackers, foreign governments, and EFF sharks circle this database 24 hours a day, trying to break in. And he reveals that the worm is not targeting the data, but it's targeting the security walls, which I guess they have 5 redundant systems, or 5, I don't know, levels of the thing. And we get lots of techie speak as this goes forward, as those start failing one by one.
Oh, man, so good.
And how do we know they're failing one by one? It's because Jabba has prepared VR. And for some reason, that's they use a term that this was 1998. This was like the VR mania of the mid 90s was in full swing. We had Lawnmower Man and hackers and virtual reality on the cover of Time magazine. So they felt the need to say this. Jabba relied on VR often. In most computer circles, VR meant virtual reality, but at the NSA, it meant VisRep, visual representation.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just give it something else?
Yeah, like clearly a made-up or just term that never caught on. But Jabba has prepared, evidently, just like in, again, Jurassic Park, when the computer systems fail, and they had that thing of Newman waving his finger and saying, They had a whole thing in case the shields started to fail one by one from a worm. And so Soshi wheels out a projection to show just exactly how these things are failing in real time.
It's so bad, so bad. I couldn't even figure out what movie are you trying to replicate here.
Yeah.
You're all a bunch of idiots. You won't understand as we all shout out how many systems are failing. So here's, for the reader, a very, very stupid graphic that I will describe very poorly for you so that you know that the system is failing, which I guess could work on a visual level in a really stupid movie, but it does not work in a book to describe people watching a stupid... It's just like it looks like an archery target, right? And there's 5 levels, and little black lines go in, and they represent the sharks hacking it or something.
Yeah, they represent the worms, who he hopefully describes as sharks.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. The worm is its own thing. The sharks are the hackers who then want the data.
But we get lines like this, and I wanted to call this one out. I've got a beef with this. I don't know if it's a guy or a gal. It just says a technician. Bastion host is toast, a technician yelled from the back of the room. Second shield's exposed. And I just pictured the huge black man going, "Damn it, Chad! I've warned you about rhyming host and toast. You can, even in the middle of this thing, it is not allowed."
But damn it, you're the best we have, so...
Yeah. Good job, Chad.
That was part of Jabba's description. We've got a 5-tier level of defense, a primary bastion host, 2 sets of packet filters for FTP and X11, a tunnel block, and finally a PEM-based authorization window right off the Truffle project.
Oh, God. And to represent it, here's a little sketch I made with a Sharpie on a piece of whiteboard.
Oh, you did a really great angry face on that worm. That's a great work, Jabba. I didn't know you were a doodler.
Yes.
And what does Susan do as he's yelling out this jargon? Susan gazed up absently, detached from the madness around her. It's like, I think Susan might be in an actual state of shock. We need to get her to a hospital.
What an absolutely incredibly shitty thing for your heroine to... Again, I've referred to it before. It's the anaconda thing. Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz gets stung by a wasp in the throat, and basically they put him in the bottom of the boat. It's Act 1. He's supposed to be he's the star of the movie, kind of, along with J-Lo, but he's just, stuff him in the bottom and wait.
They go in and put a cold rag on his forehead every now and then.
Yeah, but to do this this is your heroine.
Yes.
She's been tossed around like a sack of potatoes. She's been grabbed by guys her touch is familiar, but she's repulsed by. Yeah. And for Act 3, the pivotal moment, she's sitting in a heap, trembling, which somebody's putting a Mylar blanket around her shoulders because she's in shock. It's just so bad.
Yeah,
why is she not acting at this point? Why is she not an actor in the in the like a central actor in all of this.
It's baffling. I can't think of, Eric Stoltz is the best comparison, but I can't think of another one who's, being actually conscious or who's been treated like this in a movie.
Right.
But she says they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they realize they need a kill code to prevent this worm from doing anything. And she says, the kill code's in Spain, Susan offered weakly. Everyone on the podium turned. It was the first thing she'd said in a long time. Susan looked up bleary-eyed. Tankado gave it away when he died. And then we get the first of, there's a lot of these Dale M. Courtney-style reactions in this section. Everyone looked lost. And we get a lot more of everyone, shouting the same thing at the same time, which delighted me.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, yeah. But suddenly, so she kind of becomes the wet blanket. She starts to do something. Like, don't bother, Susan said in a whisper. Tankado's dead. Which, whisper from the back of the room. I assume the giant black director is going, Who's talking back there?
Yeah. What?
This is one of these dark tech rooms that we all know from movies. I can't see you or hear you because there are sirens going off.
Available, yeah, off the tappa of the keyboard guys. Please speak up.
I mean, I found you striking when I first saw you, but now I can't see you at all, and I can't hear you.
That's really all you have to offer here. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. So that's all I got for that chapter.
Chapter 111, I thought I had a mixed metaphor Hall of Fame. Dan Brown's had a lot of them.
Oh, nice. Yeah, please. I love them.
An ear-splitting yell cut through the control room. Sharks! It was Soshi. Jabba spun toward the Viz rep. Two thin lines had appeared outside the concentric circles. They looked like sperm trying to breach a reluctant egg. Blood's in the water, folks. Jabba turned back to the director. So we've got sharks who look like sperm trying to breach a reluctant egg because there's blood in the water. So it's not only terrible, it's also kind of gross.
I had the exact thing and just had interrobangs, for 3 lines.
Yes,
what is this? What the hell is going on? Sharks and sperm and that was terrible. I didn't even understand. I had to go back and go, what was sharks? Oh, okay. So it's just sharks.
Yeah. Hackers equal sharks in this world, which has never, don't stop trying to make that a thing. It's not a thing. It's never going to be a thing.
Right. Another great end to a chapter, though. So this is Fontaine. He took Jabba's cellular and punched a few keys. Midge, he said, it's Leland Fontaine. Listen carefully. Again, you ending chapters with people who, the 6 characters that we know, talking on the phone to each other.
Yes.
Midge, he said, it was Jabba. Like, no. They're all just...
It wasn't Jabba.
Yes. Just terrible. So anyway, turn the page, chapter 112.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense, though, because I just kept noting, like, there's moments towards the end of the book where, like, someone's saying, like, are we able to get information about uranium? Midge said. It's like, Midge, why are you here? Why are you contributing to this? Shouldn't you be, whatever it is you do somewhere else? This is like the top secret area that not even Susan had ever been in.
I've got
just because
my
she's
hunch.
A character.
I'm here because I have a hunch. And I'm going to give a back rub to someone, and it's not going to end the way you want it to. Midge, not now, for God's sake.
Yes. So yeah, they debate whether to take the whole system offline, which would for some reason take 30 minutes, or they can spend that 30 minutes trying to guess the code that will kill switch the worm. And they decide. The director decides we're going to guess the key and risk all of our locations, remote location sites being divulged, all the NSA secrets, spying, the Kennedy assassination truth being just like out there to everybody.
Area. I always
51.
forget 51. Area 51, all of that.
Yeah, moon landing being faked.
Foo Fighters, the truth
identity.
about Foo Fighters. Yep, everything. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I forget why, but he sort of hand waves away. No, if we take it offline, it'll be blah blah blah. So we can't do that. It's worth it to risk it getting out based on us trying to guess a code that we haven't been able to guess over the past 24 hours.
Right, and so plot-wise, the first thing you do is get Midge on the line and ask her to listen carefully.
Right.
So chapter 112,
yeah.
I don't think advances anything. It's just him saying, it's just Jabba going like, we can't do this. What are you doing? And so he contacts the two guys in the van.
Yes. Yeah. The men appeared to be inside a van of some sort. So
what? How
Ernest
often
Cline,
do you mistake
writing.
vans for for other things?
Exactly, of some sort of van, and they're being broadcast. This was a nice slice of the 90s. A QuickTime digital transmission, only 5 frames per second.
That was beautiful to get us into talking about like dropping frames and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right.
In order to transmit it, they had to drop every other frame. Like, are we really getting into sifting frame dropping at this point?
Right, exactly. As we've learned when we're reviewing a movie over Zoom, screen sharing a video, as soon as it drops to 8 frames a second, we're like, hang up, redial, reshare. This is unacceptable for this trivial purpose we're using it for. And then they're analyzing these grainy videos of the ring handoff at 5 frames a second and attempting to glean information from them.
Oh, that is incredible when we get to that. So their plot is, at this point, they need to interview these two guys who, the two guys who obviously have killed David. David's dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In their van.
Yeah.
So for the next 2 chapters, which he just keeps, I just don't, I don't have anything because it's just the rehashing crap we already know with these two guys.
Right. Well, this reveals that Fontaine had believed in every part of Strathmore's plan, but the use of hula hot made him nervous because he was, a mercenary. So he hired the van. Fontaine sent the van guys and called his trip to Argentina short to come back, and that was the reveal there, which wasn't really much of a reveal, but that's par for the course.
Yeah. Who's watching the Watchers? I would say, right? We'll get to that.
Chapter 13. This was very nice because we get sort of a slapstick routine in the middle of all of this, but since it involves Leland Fontaine, it of course has racist tinges. So it says a buzz-cutted man shouted, "Absolutely not!" is one of the van guys. "We have orders. We report to Director Leland Fontaine and Leland Fontaine only." Fontaine looked mildly amused. "You don't know who I am, do you?" "Doesn't matter, does it?" the blonde fired hotly. "Let me explain," Fontaine interjected. "Let me explain something right now." Seconds later, the two men were red-faced, spilling their guts to the director of the NSA. "Director," the blonde stammered. So it's essentially the, "I can't operate on this, it's my son." The doctor was a woman? Yeah. So, they just felt the need to have that payoff, the enormous black man.
Are we picturing Forrest Whitaker or something? A mature Forrest Whitaker,
sure, or Dennis from the Allstate commercials.
Yeah,
Dennis Haysbert,
exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Snickering as these two, obviously Southern buzz cut guys in the military.
Yes, right.
You're the director. Oh, Dan Brown, you're not a subtle man.
And Susan, meanwhile, as that's happening, sat and fought the suffocating loneliness that pressed down around her. Eyes closed, ears ringing, she wept. Her body had gone numb.
So again, she's pressed down. Okay. Wow.
We got a lot of these. I sort of, once I realized they were going to be happening all the time, I started taking notes, but I didn't backfill them all. But FTP filters failing, a technician called out. So there's lots of just technicians shouting things through the duration of this.
Oh, yeah. And third shield's exposed.
They also are providing us with the time frame. They yell out, 8 minutes left, double elimination over the top style, just to sort of give it that, to give the sense of timing that otherwise would be impossible to convey.
Yes, well, let me give you a Soshi version of it. Again, okay. No reason to have Soshi. And you tell me which of her lines, of these 3 lines, have exclamation points behind them. So there's a little guessing game. We'll never make it.
Yep.
We need half an hour. By the time we shut down, it will be too late. Which have exclamation points.
All 3.
All 3 of them have exclamation. She's just running around screaming.
Wow.
Like people, we are, we're military adjacent. We're like pilots. If you've heard, cockpit tape of pilots, even in
dire emergencies.
Plane
crashing, yeah. Let's we're gonna have to put the emergency landing gear on.
Yeah, we are radioing ahead. We don't think we're going to make it to our destination, so we're going to need you to look for an alternate flight path for us.
Bear in mind, the second engine has caught on fire.
Yes, we are initiating emergency procedure, and we have everyone in contact.
The drink cart is on fire! Oh my god!
Soshi,
a technician yelled.
Who hired Soshi? For God's sake! Engine 2 is actually flaming out. Stop doing that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, that's why you don't invite Midge down there to these type of things.
Yes. But she's yelling, and then a couple minutes later, or almost immediately, Susan Fletcher suddenly, from wet dish rag, trembling in the corner, everything pressing down on her, gets up and screams.
Yes. So yeah, they the 5 frames a second has showed David in the background.
Yes. Motionless and bloody, propped up on the floor of the van.
Yeah, and so Susan has a scream of agony. Like an apparition, she rose. Her face was white. And you killed him, she screamed as she stumbled towards the image. So she's like, the girl crawling out of the well in The Ring at this point. Like,
yes. The director's like, look, as striking as she is, can we just get her outside of this secret room that apparently now is like a rec room that anyone can come into?
Yeah, a marching band parades through it.
There's people bringing pizzas in. Hey, this is for the NSA. Did somebody order pizza here?
Yeah, take your daughter to work day. Oh my God, why is this happening? But yeah, she's pulling like essentially she's the girl at the end of My Girl being like put on his glasses as she like bursts into the funeral, but we get a DMC. Everyone looked up in confusion.
Oh God!
And as Susan advanced, still calling, her eyes never leaving the projection of David's body. David, she gasped, staggering forward. Oh, David, how could they? And then Fontaine's response. Fontaine seemed lost. You know this man? No, dumbass. I'm just shouting his name and, lurching towards him, weeping as
I was hoping for more of this is pretty good, you know this man, but I was hoping for more of the, someone pulling her back down and like, stop, don't bother the director. We're doing something now. No, wait a minute. I'd like to hear from this young lady. I was looking for more of that kind of moment. Like, what do you have to offer here? Look, we'll take any chance we can at this point. Even if it's a screaming woman who can barely walk and is sweating and smeared with soot and soaking
That's
wet.
So crazy, it just might work, director.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's the, you see, John Connolly is like, Jackie is weeping as wait, you knew this guy who just got shot? What wait, how is this an appropriate response?
Yes.
Anyway, it just, I don't know. It just, at this point in time, no one is behaving like a human, and we've just got to keep reading as we progress toward it.
Well, chapter 115 is that's the fanfic that I think you fell for this. I don't know. Check the tape.
Yeah,
but
I fell for it. It blew my mind that this was real.
This is incredible. I mean, I don't know what to say. I guess we could just revisit it, but.
Well, yeah, it's worth revisiting, especially since we know that this is the context around it. He had been knocked unconscious by we learn, I think, the stun gun, javelin, lightning bolt, whatever it was.
Yeah, so this is another incidence of Batman, jumps out of the car before the end of. It's just absolutely stupid. Like, oh, you thought he was dead because we described him as dead? And searing lances erupting like rockets into his head or whatever.
Yeah.
No, you didn't know that we have these searing rocket things that stun people.
Sure.
So so he's alive.
Yeah, James Bond gadget. Yeah, and then it's so the way he regains consciousness from the searing stun gun gadget. The emptiness in David Becker's mind was absolute. I am dead. And yet there was a sound, a distant voice. David. The voice was familiar. She was an angel. She had come for him. The angel spoke. David, I love you. Suddenly he knew. So this angel, Susan Becker, is a little less horny than the one we explored earlier. But so this is the whole thing. When he does the now I have a ring for you, he has literally just regained consciousness from being tased unconsciousness and dragged into a van by guys who he, at this point in time, doesn't even know who they are when he proposes again for the second time.
Right. He dragged him into some kind of van.
Yes.
Hard to... But yeah, so he shakes himself, cartoon awake. Wait, what happened? Oh, there's a monitor. There's Susan. Let me get my ring out. I mean, it literally defies any. It's absolutely amazing. But I have a Sonic challenge for you.
Oh boy,
I have 2 coming up, so get ready. Get your voice. Do you want to do some vocal exercises or to sit in solemn silence on a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock? Okay. So this is Susan. You're going to be doing Susan. The line is.
Let me just get my jaw slack and the string of drool hanging down over my my still chiseled chin.
You're very striking. So the line is. I'm going to give you the words first, and then I'm going to give you the description. David, thank God I thought I had lost you. That's your lines. Memorize your lines.
David, thank God I thought I had lost you. Got it.
She was crying and laughing.
God.
So give me that. All right. And take 1.
David, thank God I thought I had lost you.
Wow. That was even more repulsive than I could have imagined. Well done.
That's just
wow.
But so imagine she does that, and then the 2 technicians who are yelling FTP hole breached, they turn around and lower their shades at her as she does that because she's so striking.
Yes. And they go, they're all melted. The control room melts, of course.
Yes,
with this.
right.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you folks, but we still got a worm approaching our egg like a shark.
Just for those who, if you missed the last episode and didn't hear this as fanfic, I'll just quickly read it. This is real. This is from the book. This is not made up.
If you missed last episode, also, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, well, that's another question. A hush spread across the room. You know how hushes do. They spread. A clipboard clattered to the floor, along with a mug of pencils. No one bent to pick them up. There was only the faint hum of the terminal fans and the sound of David Becker's steady breathing in his microphone. Gross. Get away from your microphone. Nobody wants to hear your mouth sounds. David? Susan stammered, unaware that 37 people stood riveted behind her. Again, no sense of where she is or who she is. You already asked me, remember? 5 months ago, I said yes. I know, he smiled, but this time... He extended his left hand into the camera and displayed a golden band on his 4th finger. This time, I have a ring. Chapter end. I mean, how could you... So you type that and you go... Then you go in when your wife has just finished dinner and she puts a pork chop and a potato in front of you. How was your day, honey? I think it was pretty good. I think I did some good work in there today. Like, there's no way you could write that and think that that's a thing you should be able to write.
I mean, Hallmark Channel would be like, let's dial it back a bit. Yes. This is going to insult the intelligences of, Christmas in Seville here. Viewers. Anyway. And no one in the NSA is as that extended sequence goes on, is being like, hey, dumbass, I understand that you're still in love with this woman, but we have a bit of a situation here.
There are black lines going into that weird little drawing of the 5 layers of the thing. So sharks are swallowing number 3.
Yes. And so I had to look it up because this time I have a ring. I forgot about what it was, but back in the beginning of the book, it said they'd been together for almost 2 years when out of the blue, David proposed to her on a weekend trip to the Smoky Mountains. They were lying in a big canopy bed at Stone Manor. He had no ring. He just blurted it out. That's what she loved about him. He was so spontaneous. She kissed him long and hard, and then they get busy. So yeah, he had no ring. He just spontaneously did that, and that was 2 years ago. Oh no, they'd been together 2 years. So anyway,
yeah, I didn't remember that either. Quite frankly,
yeah, I think that no ring was his him living below the poverty level and not even being able to afford to boil noodles for his ramen. But that was sort of what the implication was there, I think.
What a noble, hot squash playing professor he is. So yeah, chapter 116.
Yeah, this is a and any good thriller should have the way that this chapter starts. Jabba sat sweating, hands poised over his keyboard.
I love his read the blessed inscription.
Oh my God!
So Jabba becomes kind of an old timey. I don't know. When's the last time you said blessed to mean read the damned inscription?
Yeah, it sounds like something from a comic book where they weren't allowed to use the any bad words.
Right, Spider-Man's boss or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. I like that Susan. I like this description of her. Susan Fletcher stood with them, weak-kneed and aglow. So, like, again, the world is about to end for the U.S., and she's standing there like a high schooler who just got a pizza with prom spelled out in pepperoni to ask her to the prom.
Our hero, again, just to remind you, our hero.
Right.
The center of the book, around which everything radiates.
Who was already engaged to someone. I guess she's just happy that he's alive, but still.
Yeah, and this is so now we're reading the ring thing, and this is just a, people guessing a password thing.
Yeah.
And there are spaces in the inscription, inscription on the ring.
Spaces?
Yeah. There's a space. Jabba stopped typing. There's a blessed space.
You just learned that the ring just existed. Like, what are you questioning anything about it? Like,
right, and you don't know what. But Jabba agrees with Susan. It's just, and she's stammering. It's strange. Passwords never have spaces, and I guess this was supposed to be salty stuff for people at the time. Is that true? Do passwords what people knew about passwords, right? Why are people's jaws hitting the floor like spaces?
Yeah. Son, get in here. Do passwords have spaces in them? Well, I'll be. This book checks out. I'll continue reading. Thank you, son. Back to you, whatever you were doing, playing Sega Genesis or.
So it's the Latin term, but what is the Latin that translates? Who will guard the guards? Right.
Yes.
Mentioned previously in the book and previously in this podcast. But in the middle of it, I have another Sonic challenge for you.
Oh, man. Wow. All right.
Okay, you'll be playing an enormous black man.
Okay. Off to a good start.
All right. Yep. Fontaine sucked in a long breath, his dark eyes probing hers. So I want the character of your dark eyes probing someone's while you suck in a long breath. That's your challenge. Give it a go.
Got it. All right. My eyes were probing the hell out of her as I did that.
I could. I saw it even through this Skype call and over the microphones. I felt it. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, there's a lot of people swallowing hard in this scene. A lot of people sweating. A lot of people stammering throughout, pretty much. But you get a lot of those. I guess.
Get a lot of good. We didn't track them all. We should have done that maybe. X11 filters going. A technician yelled. The technician's like, "Hey man, Soshi gets a call out. I'm a person. Well, come on." I mean, essentially, they're all just Soshis, right?
Yes. Yeah, they are interchangeable, extras, essentially.
The worm's halfway there. So they're all just shouting it out. But everybody can see that, right? So does it need to be technicians yelling it? Because it's all up on the VR, which is VizRep, I believe.
Yeah, VizRep. Maybe the VizRep's more subtle. Maybe Jabba didn't have time to add in like the Pac-Man dying animation every time a field goes or something like that, like whip, 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 like a sound effect.
Right. So there's probably not a silly font circling around that one like X11 filter, do not breach joke, All right. So, that's all I got for that one.
We get a lot of like just very slow interrupting, just so they suss out what this message is that it's in Latin. Susan identifies the quote as being from the satires of Juvenal, which again has no bearing on anything and certainly doesn't need to be told to the people who are trying to protect the country's secrets.
Yeah, I didn't even bother looking that. I am not aware of the satires of Juvenal. I may have heard them some point in my life. I've certainly never read them.
I think it was the B-side to Juvenile's "Back That Ass Up."
Oh, okay. That of course, I know.
Might be. It was played at a lot of parties when I was in college, but you might not have been tuned in there.
No, I sat in front of my big stereo system that I normally play Horowitz sonatas and I listened to that a lot. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But anyway.
Bridget was like, please, our son is 3 at this stage of life and you need to change his diaper. Honey, I am listening to Juveniles. Back that ass up. Please.
Yes, I'm sitting in the sweet spot. Please don't interrupt me.
But yeah, they get into this thing Fontaine is saying, Mrs. Fletcher, in your mind, if this is not the key, why would Insei Tankado have given it away? If he knew we'd murdered him, don't you want to assume he'd punish us by making the ring disappear? So if he had knew that they had murdered him, he would want to punish them. I don't know. I cannot parse how that would work. And then we get into this thing where they say, what makes you think Insei Tankado was unaware he was being killed? And they say that they shot him with one of those rubber bullets. And then one of the agents says, it's doubtful that Tankado associated the sensation with a gunman, and yet he gave away his ring. True, sir, but he never looked for his assailant. A victim always looks for his assailant when he's been shot. It's instinct. So that is strong Fax King seatbelt vibe from that statement. That a victim always looks for his assailant when he's been shot. I studied the Zapruder tape. I can't tell if that checks out.
I'll go even harder on this one, that they come up with this thing and they call it a trauma bullet. That explains the bruising. I didn't look this up at all. I call 100% bullshit on all of this without any. I'll just be that guy at a party who's like, "There's no way, man." I'll be that guy who's
grass,
like, "Did you know you can't eat 10 crackers in under a minute? Like, that's bullshit. I can do it." I'll be that guy. I'm willing to take that position that there's no way that
this bullet caused the cardiac arrest of the thing.
Yes, and that he didn't know that he'd been hit by it. Right. This could be meticulously researched, and I will be eating crow, but I'm still going to take that position. Right. Bullheaded as all. There's no way this is true.
It sounds extremely unlikely.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, why not? But so yeah, they move on to chapter 117 where they are starting watching the video of Tankado dying. I don't know if this is training their 5 frame per second QuickTime on their own TV, and the thing, or if they're actually able to broadcast it over that. We had a hell of a time figuring out screen sharing until last year. So maybe they're able to do that at the NSA. But
this is amazing. I mean, come on.
But they double down on the claim. He says, you'll notice his eyes are focused downward at himself. Not once does he look around. And that's important, Jabba half stated, half inquired. Very. If Tankado suspected foul play of any kind, he would instinctively search the area, but as you can see, he does not. Again, he just has to have made up whatever logic are required to have this terrible plot actually work for him.
It's such a bad thing to hang this is the plot, this is what we're all getting down to, is whether or not he thought he was being killed. Isn't that the vaguest thing? And then now let's all watch a video as people are still crying out, by the way, like, X11s are down, a technician called
Windsock is out the window, guys.
This bad boy's hungry, says one guy. Like, Chad, wow. You don't need to add that. Just give us the straight facts. Don't editorialize on it. So that's happening, and they stop to watch a video.
Yeah, and they've all already watched. I mean, I guess we've heard it described. I guess no one has actually watched it yet. Sorry.
Yeah, but the two guys have already said about if this was the thing, these are the two agents, highly trained, I assume, ex-Navy SEALs, ex whatever, say, no, he didn't know that he was being shot. Like, well, I'll take your word for it. Since there's a minute left until this all goes down, instead it's like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I got a video. Here, look at my phone.
We're going to have stand around check and go, your work.
Cool, yeah.
See a Navy SEAL guy.
Why don't we just trust him? Instead, they cut to the video, which, again, it's impossible, right? That there was in this year that this was done, that there was a video that could zoom in on 3 fingers of a hand, where they say they're hundreds of yards away.
Yes, absolutely, and then be broadcast, from Europe to the U.S.'s modem or whatever.
With no lag, by the way.
Yeah. Wow, there we go. That's the important thing. Crazy. The only place outside of Columbus, Ohio that had no lag.
It's just insane.
Yeah. it would be bad and mocked if it was how an episode of a police procedural like CSI or whatever doing an enhanced thing on the internet today.
It's just amazing. But then in the middle of it, so we're watching this video trying to figure out what he's doing as he gives the ring away, sending a message that Tankado is terminated. Smith turned to Becker and chuckled. Looks like Hulo had a bad habit of transmitting kills before his victim actually expired. That really is chuckle worth. Now's the time for that kind of light humor from the ex-Secret Service, ex-Navy SEAL. He's got time for a little joke with the guy they shot in the chest with a lance of pain and threw him in the
they
back
just
of the
leaked the name of a spy we had embedded in the Saudi royal house, and his head was chainsawed off, sir. So, that is funny though. He did transmit that a bit early.
He does that. He does it early. So anyway, that's in the middle of that. Yeah,
they just recap the whole what we all knew. They have the fat German, the redheaded prostitute, all that stuff. The elderly man falling off a motorcycle and breaking his arm, etc.
And nothing about it really is anything new.
Yeah, there's not you don't get a character with a new perspective who's able to see something until 7 more chapters when you finally do. But it's just some wasted pages here.
But let's give you a little a peek into the capabilities of this camera. And again, I want one. I'm very
okay.
The camera tightened on Tankado's 3 deformed fingers, and on one of them, clearly glittering in the Spanish sun. God, that Spanish sun, I hate it so much. Was the golden ring. Tankado thrust it out again. The old man recoiled. So again, it had zoomed in on the 3 fingers from several hundred yards away. Then it, I guess, was there a director like in the van? It was like, all right, give me camera 3. Pull out. Give me the old man. The old man recoiled. Tankado turned to the woman. He held his 3 deformed fingers directly in front of her face, as if begging her to understand. Is that a thing you could see in a camera?
Right, yeah.
With a guy laying on a ground in the blinding sun of Seville with your GoPro from 300 yards away? I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah, imposing the begging to understand on him, thrusting fingers. It's ridiculous. Instead of just being like, well, this guy's dying. He just wants help. Like, no, he doesn't want anyone to understand anything. He needs an ambulance.
Another thing that I'm going to call bullshit on without knowing anything about it. It's odd, Smith said, puzzled. Trauma pods usually won't kill this quickly. Sometimes if the target's big enough, they don't kill at all.
Wow.
And then bad
what did you use it for in this situation?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's trash.
So yeah. Anyway, that's this whole chapter is looking through the camera.
Believe it or not, it gets dumber. Not necessarily in chapter 118 where not a lot happens, but and this one I didn't have much to say. I liked that Jabba said, someone says, it doesn't make sense. Why, if Tankado was unaware he'd been murdered, they're still talking about this, why would he give away the kill code? I agree, Jabba said. The kid's a rebel, but he's a rebel with a conscience.
Oh, God.
So I had to go back. Back of the envelope, based on stuff from the beginning of the book, puts him at 34 years old, I think.
Yeah.
That kid, he's a rebel.
Hanging this stuff on here while they're all screaming, it's so bad. We all know how this stuff works. You focus on one thing, but he's got all these little layers of, like, no, he's got a code, and well, he got hit by the trauma bullet, but that usually doesn't kill. Bad heart, it's such trash.
Right.
Just keep your focus, dumbass. You know what you're doing. I mean, you should know what you're doing.
You've invented this stuff, and you can make it work however you want to, just like the the mutation strings or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't have much for 118 or 119.
119, I just had a DMC. Everyone stood in silent horror.
Oh, nice.
And then they discovered that they tried to put in, I guess, the text, and they said there was an error that did the It said, damn it, numeric only. We're looking for a goddamn number. We're fucked. This ring is shit. Worms at double speed, so she said. Worms at double speed, so she shouted. Penalty round. So she's adding in a little color of her own, like the guy who was shouting, this bad boy's hungry.
Yeah. Confirming overseas tie-ins, cried another technician. Words out.
Man.
Yeah.
It's, but that takes us right into 120 where sharks with high-speed modems would be able to download staggering quantities of classified information in that window. Because he says they would not be able to shut it down. And, we all remember what the internet was like in 97, 98. It was like you wanted a grainy fake JPEG of Jennifer Aniston. It was going to take 10 minutes to download it. Like you weren't going to be able to get a detailed, map of these NSA operations in anything more than like leaving it on overnight.
Is that what you were doing in 1994?
Of course, that's what I was doing.
I just want to
that was 15.
A little more, a little dignity for Jabba here again. The 400-pound Sissek stood motionless, hands resting atop his head.
It's amazing. The
look,
the
man.
sweating fat Globo.
Yes. Well, I just like to finally we get a little detail on. Look, how big is this guy? Do you have a problem with with overweight people or 400 pounds? Okay, I mean, I guess that qualifies, but no reason to zero in quite so tightly. How big was Strathmore?
Right,
he was pretty thick fleshed. You want to give his weight too, you dick?
So it's you hope that it was like a Kickstarter backer paid to have his reality or his vision written into the book, and Dan Brown was like, "Yeah, I'll put you in there. I'm a 400-pound Sissek, damn it."
Yes. But in this chapter, we finally get to alluded to before. 64 squares, baby.
Yep. It's a Caesar code or something that's written on the inside of the ring.
Yep, the Caesar code, which again, I'll take it for granted. I didn't look it up, but who cares?
Yeah. Right, but it's also not on the inside of the ring. This is where it's revealed that the ring is completely meaningless.
Good job, Dan Brown. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a MacGuffin, but it was not even. It has no bearing. He went all around. Multiple people got killed because of the ring, innocent people. But it turns out that the actual code you need was in the source code of the worm. There was some orphans that they, I guess, just discovered right now. And if you take all of those orphans, which were in 4 groups of 4 letters, you arrange them into a square. That's where you get the actual Caesar code.
So the editor looking this over is kind of like, Dan, I have to say, you sent this character half of the book, or maybe 33%, is this guy running around Seville chasing this
garbage pit, Seville, by the way.
Yeah, chasing this ring, and as it turns out, that is a complete. There's no reason to have that. We could just chop that out. And Dan Brown's like, I hate Seville so goddamn much. You cut that, I walk out of this office. The whole point of that Seville plot is how terrible the sun is and how terrible their medical system is. And they have towers that are worthless and their candle holder. I'm like, okay, Dan, please. Can we tie it in with the actual plot? No, that's the point.
The publisher's like, well, this is the guy who wrote 187 Men to Avoid under the pseudonym Danielle Brown. We have to do this. We cannot miss out on the readership of that getting passed around.
Looking through the window, his boss is like, shaking his head like, no, take the book. Don't you dare turn him away. Like, okay.
He's pointing out the window at the sun and giving a thumbs up like, it can stay. It can stay. It's good. But so the way they're doing this, we have, technicians are yelling out 8 minutes left. But then David is sort of, I'll just read it. David had been sitting quietly watching the drama unfold on the monitor before them. Susan, he offered, I have an idea. Is the text in 16 groupings of 4? Oh, for Christ's sake, Jabba said under his breath. Now everyone wants to play. Susan ignored Jabba and counted the groupings. Yes, 16. Take out the spaces, Becker said firmly. David, I don't think you understand. The groupings of 4 are take out the spaces, he repeated. So he's sort of doing it. He's walking her through it as opposed to just being like, here's how this is going to work so that this, Armageddon is averted.
Right, right.
He's sort of like letting her have the like when a kid's hunting for an Easter egg. I would look closer to the fireplace if I were you. Like, no, the other side. Like, what? Tell her what it is.
Remember when you failed at North Dakota and Dakota? Let's not relive that, Susan. So here we go. And like, again, our hero, our heroine, whatever you want to say. Like, come on, man. She's just like, duh.
But it is. So here it is. Everyone is standing around. Listen, as this happens. 4 by 16, David said calmly. Do the math, Susan. So it's literally what you just said.
Wow.
Susan eyed David's image on the screen. Do the math? He's terrible at math. She knew he could memorize verb conjugations and vocabulary like a Xerox machine, but math? Multiplication tables, Becker said. Multiplication tables, Susan wondered. What is he talking about? 4 by 16, the professor repeated. I had to memorize multiplication tables in fourth grade. No one memorizes multiplication tables up to 16, by the way. Susan pictured the standard grade school multiplication table. 4 by 16. 64, she said blankly. So what? David leaned towards the camera. His face filled the frame. 64 letters. Susan nodded. Yes, but there... She froze. 64 letters, David repeated. Oh, my God, Susan gasped. David, you're a genius. So Jabba, Midge, the director, are all sitting there twiddling their thumbs as that idiotic conversation plays out.
Well, at least Jabba did explode at one point.
True, yeah.
Enough!
Everyone wants to play.
Playtime's over. This thing's on double speed. All exclamation points. We've got about 8 minutes here. We're looking for a number, not a bunch of half-baked letters. I like a real slam on letters there, like
right,
half-baked
letters. So, like, yeah, B as opposed to B, like it doesn't. This doesn't have the. I don't know.
Okay, chapter
121.
121.
We get a
Caesar box.
Yeah, it actually spells out for you. I don't know. She says, "I'll be damned," and everyone on the podium exchanged baffled looks, like in Moon People.
Oh yeah, and, right.
I liked this though. David winked at the tiny image of Susan Fletcher on the screen before him. 64 letters. Julius Caesar strikes again. Midge looked lost. Sure, we're all lost at this point in time because it's idiocy, but Midge is not a code breaker or even belongs anywhere in this building, so of course the janitor stumbled in. What the hell is going on here?
The guy delivering the third stack of pizzas was also perplexed. This is you guys haven't improved since I was here 8 minutes ago.
Just bring him over here, said the 400-pound sissec.
410 now. We get a good Jabba. His going back from being like the cynic and the crying out is like they set up the Caesar Square, which is depicted in the book, so you can see it, and then clear as shit. Jabba groaned, so like mucus dripping off of his jowls as he did this.
Referenced in close to his calzone in hell in the Dark West. Get there.
That's right.
Yeah. Again, Dan Brown used the cliches. Just like when you try to improve on them, it goes very poorly.
Yep, not good at it. So that's that. That's a very short chapter. I don't have anything else.
Chapter 122, 6 minutes, a technician called out. And then Susan tells him to retype the 4 letters so they're like, just all on the screen. And it clearly makes words. They spell them out in the book. It says prime difference between elements responsible for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And so Jabba sees what we all see in the book. Still garbage, Jabba scoffed in disgust. Look at it. It's totally random bits of... The words lodged in his throat. His eyes widened to saucers. Oh my. So, yeah, Jabba, you were prepared just to say it was garbage no matter what, weren't you? Like, you're just skeptical of these half-baked letters.
I felt that this was a meta commentary and that he was reviewing his own book at this point. Still garbage, Jabba scoffed in disgust. Because this is just utterly... he could have thrown anything at the wall at this point, right?
Yeah.
Every chapter is like, the Caesar thing at the beginning of that Caesar box. Susan beamed. Read top to bottom. Tankado's sending us a message. Like, yeah, that's what we're all here. That's the whole point of the book. Why do they have to stop and do this?
I don't know. It's so puzzling. But yeah, he really could have just like... David is like, if you look at the day of, the 20th anniversary of the atomic bombs and check the comics section, the mini page by Betty Debnam hid this message inside the word find. Like, it's like, okay, like, yeah, it's all garbage at this point in time.
It literally could be anything. Like, we need to know what kind of car he drove. It's the serial number on the engine block of a Toyota it could be anything. There's nothing that makes any sense or is linked to anything earlier.
Once Jabba sees it, everyone sees it. Midge and Brinkerhoff both cooed in unison when they realized what was
that's
going
right.
on.
That was in the fanfic from last week. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's all I have for that.
Chapter 123, all I have is they restate the plot of everything. She just re-explains everything. I don't think I have anything for that.
She restates it at the behest of Fontaine. He turns and addresses Susan. Ms. Fletcher, you've gotten us this far. I need your best guess. Has she gotten us anywhere?
Yeah, what has she done? What is he referring
Nothing.
to?
She walked towards her boyfriend like a zombie, and then he explained to her like a kid on an Easter egg hunt what she needed to do.
I wish that she would have. There would have been a callback here where she took her loafer off and like threw it across the room, and everyone was distracted. Like, I did that, which I learned from a great but flawed man to distract you, and now I have the answer to everything.
Right.
The loafer throw paid off in a big way. But no payoffs for this book.
This is another one of my dumb sentences I'm going to burn just because in the time it says it's plot related. Hope was fading fast. It seemed the political backdrop surrounding the two most devastating blasts in history needed to be analyzed, compared, and translated into some magic number, and all within the next 5 minutes.
God.
The third most devastating blast in history was post Jabba's third calzone. That's how it stands up. He says the prime difference between elements responsible for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Chapter 124 is when they start to sort of parse out what that means, I guess.
Yeah, this is when Jabba goes into to high Jabba mode. Like, we need a number, Jabba repeated. Not political theories. We're talking mathematics, not history. So she fell silent. How about payloads? Brinkerhoff offered casualties. Then they all start throwing this thing in. And then a couple sentences later, David Becker's eyes flew open. Elements, he declared. We're talking math, not history. So he's repeating what Jabba said earlier, and I just wondered, is he taking a weird opportunity to mock Jabba? I didn't understand what that was for. Like, yeah, he just said that. Like, that's what we're all working off of that assumption. So is he going like, we're talking math, not history?
Yeah.
We're talking math, not history. I'm Jabba. I'm making a big calzone and pushing it into my 400-pound head.
But as he's doing that, he's parsing it out in this, Dan Brown sort of wants the reader to feel smart, I guess, as they do this. So he parses it out thusly. He's like, Tankado's playing word games, Becker spouted. The word elements has multiple meanings. Spit it out, Mr. Becker, Fontaine snapped. For God's sake, stop giving it, if you figured something out, tell us. But he says, he's talking about chemical elements, not socio-political ones. Which is
it's so mad.
One of the dumbest things I've ever read. Because they were doing the that scene in Die Hard 3 where it's like they have to measure at least like talk, Mr. Willis. You have to measure. You have a 5-gallon jug and a 3-gallon jug, and Bruce Willis is like, well, if we fill up the 5-gallon jug 4/5 of the way, and Samuel L. Jackson's like, it has to be exact. And so everyone here is like, well, I think if we just take the it's like, no, clearly you need to. There's one solution here. It's not going to be based on damage estimates vary. We know it's not going to be located in the damage estimates of the bombs.
Right. And also people, leading other people to the response. Like, we're all trying to figure it out. Like, work it through. Come on. There's a bomb strapped to my leg. Like, please just help me figure this out. Come on, you can do it.
So she clapped her hands. Yes, he's right. I read that. The two bombs used different fuels. One used uranium and one used plutonium. Two different elements. a hush swept across the room.
Oh, hushes are sweeping a lot in this. Yeah.
But they continuously sweep. So people just go back to having, like, hey, technician A, what are you doing this weekend? Well, technician B, I'm planning on, it's like people are just having side conversations as the clock has ticked down to 4 minutes left.
Well, I also wonder, during the hushes sweeping over everything, it's like one technician doesn't get it right, and like in the middle of the hush goes like, "The sharks are in level 4." Like, no, we're hushing right now. Oh,
yeah, right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, everyone. Sorry. I did not see that. I was looking down at my monitor.
But yeah, then it ends with the fanfic we had where they say, I need access to the web. Is there a browser? Netscape's sweetest. Come on, we're going surfing.
That's the one that I was reading to you. I feel like you didn't understand what I was saying. Netscape's sweetest.
I still don't understand. It's been a week and a half, and I don't understand what it's meant to convey.
It means that if Netscape had made 3 browsers, they were going to use Netscape's sweetest. That's
but I feel
all.
Like, yeah.
It's just the.
But they didn't. They never did that. That's ridiculous. Netscape didn't make a jalopy version that was like, well, if you want to just if you want those really crappy Jennifer Aniston fake nudes, you can use this one. But
all right, back to that. No, but it would be like someone saying, "Hey, get in my car. Can you get me there on time?" Like, I think Mercedes-Benz can do it. I think that's all it's saying. I mean, it's just clumsy, stupid writing, which you would expect from Dan Brown.
Yeah. Chapter 125. How much time Jabba demanded from the podium. There was no response from the technicians in the back. So the technicians are just like, my God, we have no more cliches to shout at you, man. We have yelled that the firewall is not parsing the bit sex. Like, we are done. Like, there's no more. We can't combine the words in any more fashion.
This is extra super bad, people. Yeah, there's no. This has been screaming. The klaxons have been going off for like 25 chapters, and they keep trying to build it, and it just doesn't work.
But it says, nearby, Susan and Sochi poured over the results of their web search. Web search is amusingly capitalized. And they say, Outlaw Labs? Susan asked. Who are they? Sochi shrugged. You want me to open it? Damn right, she said. 647 text references to uranium, plutonium, and atomic bombs. Sounds like our best bet. So they've like actually gone to Fax King in this fiction here.
It's amazing what they do here. It's just like I'm trying to recreate in my own mind, like surfing around in the year that they would have been doing this. What are they trying to depict? Was it cool to do a search of something and then look down the web page? You know how I think I've gotten pretty sophisticated about looking at a web page URL and going like, well, I'm not going there, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like they're thinking it's cool to just go to the first site. Like, I don't know, this one has a lot of things about atomic bombs. And then it's just like some guy's site where he's like, here's where I made a costume for the... If you want to see my thoughts on nuclear fission, please go to this page.
Sign my guest book. I am part of the Atomic Bomb Enthusiast web ring.
So if you want to continue around the ring, click here, and there's spinning thing in the bottom of the page.
Under construction, of course. Yeah, I don't know. It's this was probably in the era where you would still like click through multiple pages of Google results, but I wish it had specified what engine they had used, because that would have been a fun slice of 1997.
I'm trying to think of what as an old movie, or maybe even a movie now, where you go like, oh man, don't use that current thing, because in 20 years it's going to be just horrible for you to relive this. And I don't know. I'm sure there are many, many examples of just like, don't use the most current tech and think that it's super cool.
Yeah, so you end up with pizza.net in the net.
Right. But even like older movies of someone, I don't know, the Hitchcock movies with the UN and getting phone calls like, sir, the phone, I'll bring the phone over to you. Like, oh, and then that's a scene.
A hush fell over the room.
Yes. Anyway, it's bad. But here's a Dan Brownism that I don't know if you picked up on this, but it struck me, and I looked it up and did a little research. The word hit Susan right between the eyes. Prime, she exclaimed. Prime. She spun to Jabba, which when she spun, she hit like 300 of his 400 pounds. The kill code is a prime number. Think about it. All exclamation points. It makes perfect sense. Jabba instantly knew Susan was right. Okay. 2 sentences later. Susan knew Jabba was right.
Wow.
From chapter 110. Jabba knew the director was right. From chapter 11. Susan knew Strathmore was right.
Wow.
I didn't go any deeper. There's probably variations of it. But he's got some... What is that?
I did not pick up on that at all.
Instantly knew? Okay. I mean... But people knowing other people is right, he thinks is a real action moment. Susan knew Strathmore was right. Conor said to me, "Hey, Mike, 2 + 2 is 4. Mike instantly knew that Conor was right.
Yeah, like what would you assume? Like if you told me, I don't know what you would tell me where I would have that reaction. If you told me something about like classical music, I wouldn't instantly know that you were right. I would probably assume you do because I know you knew what you're talking about, but I would have no idea of verifying it based on my own ignorance about the situation.
Wouldn't you say like you would, I don't know, there's, we'll get writers working on it, would instantly confirmed it or something, like knew that he was right. Like you just know facts, but you don't.
You would instantly know that they must be right, like all right, I've analyzed the evidence. I know what's going on. I'm reading the situation. But my best guess is this: you are probably right.
Yeah, you make, you do the decision tree and go, he probably knows more than I do, so he's probably right to the level that I'm comfortable moving on with it. But instantly knew he was right.
But that discussion about the fact that it must be a prime number, not a primary number, as they misread it and were acting on that in real time, is confirmed by this. This is the cherry on top. So she jumped in. Yes, it's perfect. Primes are essential to Japanese culture.
Oh my God.
I didn't look at the Fax King page for Japan, but that again seems like something that could have been taken straight from there.
Oh man, I didn't pick up on that.
She just didn't have a gong to read after they played that, made that ridiculous statement.
Right. Yeah. That's all I got with 125.
They're just trying to find something in here. They've looked at this. What was it called? What was the name of the website?
Fax King? No.
Something Labs. Outlaw Labs. And so there's all this. They look at the table of contents on Outlaw Labs, and
oh boy, is that a fascinating a table of contents in the middle of
presented in the book page. It took up a page and a half of an outline because they can't control F, I guess, in 1998. But this reminded me of a trivia night I did, where just the pressure of this. There's 3 minutes left at this point in time, trying to read all this information, determine all this. I'm not a genius, but they gave you a phone a friend option at this trivia night, which essentially just meant going off in the corner, and you could use your phone for 30 seconds. To look up an answer.
Sure.
And the answer that I wanted to look up, I think you had to this is for charity, so it was $10 to use this option. Coughed up $10 of my teammate's money, and it was name one of the 2 teams that has won the Super Bowl exactly twice. And I went over there. The person's like, "Your time starts now." I start Googling list of teams who have won Super Bowl. Wikipedia, start scrolling down. It's impossible. 30 seconds. She's like 10 seconds. And I realized this is never going to happen because you have to look at a team and then you have to start counting how many they've done it. And so that pressure I wilted immediately. And I think if the actual pressure of, winning more than like a $100 Hen of the Wood gift certificate, it would probably be just the exact same scenario of failing immediately, trying to find that information on a without even knowing what information you're looking for.
Oh, I've been in that situation where you just go like, which tennis player won the most in the Open era? This, and then you go to the Wikipedia page, and there are 15 charts. Are you talking about the European? It's just like, would you just? This should be easily available. This is obviously a fact that is asked in trivia pages. But so in the middle of this, we get chapter 1, mechanism of an atomic bomb, and then it goes down to H, goes to section 2, restarts, goes to section 3, restarts. And in the middle of that, so they're looking over this thing. Here's the language after that list of boring crap that shouldn't be in a book. Section 2! Exclamation point. Susan cried. Uranium and plutonium! Exclamation point. Go! What, go? We're in the middle of it. We're doing
what
it.
What am I supposed to be doing? Yeah, no one has a phone at their disposal to
go.
Well, we're just glad to see that you're not catatonic anymore, Susan. Your eyes sparkle, and it just makes the whole office light up.
Oh, you're striking. Just striking. All right, so where are we? What do you got there?
Well, it ends with them saying, like, maybe Tankado... Yeah, it says there's a misconception, so she was wrong. So they introduced that red herring that lasts for a chapter or two. They both employed uranium. And then she says, maybe Tankado made a mistake. And says, maybe he didn't know those bombs were the same. No, Susan sighed. He was a cripple because of those bombs. He'd know the facts cold. Which is, it's jarring to see that being said casually, but also like, it doesn't exactly work that way. Like, I'm sure, I don't know if Tiny Tim knew the ins and outs of tuberculosis or whatever, had him coughing all the time in A Christmas Carol.
I wanted to reinsert a word or just rewrite that. He was a cripple because of those bombs. He'd know that because of facts king. But unfortunately, he'd know the facts cold. I'm upset about that. But that's the end of chapter 125. So we're almost done, people.
We're so close. Three chapters left, the technician yelled.
There's sharks hitting chapter 126, sir. I know you're an enormous black man.
Chapter 126 has, they discover that there's a uranium isotope 238, which causes Midge to gasp in amazement.
This I have is the fascinating different numbers chapter. There's literally nothing in this. At the end of the chapter, there's a everyone scan the text. Speaking of,
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And again, Soshi yelling, "Hold on!" Soshi said, scrolling ahead. Oh, can you imagine the action of that? Picture that in your mind, people.
I'm remembering like telling my grandparents how to do something on their computer, and just my grandmother being like, "Slow down," which like, Soshi, you are scrolling too fast.
But Soshi screams out, "Almost there! Yes!" Everyone scanned the text. Difference in weight very slight, so everyone is scanning this text. Gaseous diffusion to separate them.
Gaseous diffusion to separate them, yeah. Okay.
Again, everyone's scanning it. And now, you ready? Are you riveted?
Mm-hmm. ...
10.03249 X 10 up caret 134 as compared to 19. Look, people, I'm just letting you in on the excitement that is this book.
Yeah, the audio book had to have covered this.
19, dot 39484 X 10 up caret 23 asterisk asterisk. And because of that, what follows? There they are, Jabba screamed. That's it. Those are the weights. I think that's the worst thing I've ever read in any book.
Yes.
It's amazing. Everything hinges upon that. And then it has the 2 asterisks. And there's actually a footnote at the bottom of the chapter.
Yes. Which causes them, when they all lean in to read it, there was a communal sigh of defeat.
Everyone.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, it's because it says there's a 12% margin of error, and the figures vary from lab to lab. So yeah, you just keep getting these red herrings tossed out at you, like that they used 2 different elements, that there was primary and not prime. It's just real-time idiocy.
But the numbers, the weights of elements being used as a thing in like a list of trying to make it exciting. I don't think anyone's ever attempted it, and I don't think anyone will ever succeed. Certainly he did not here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like an episode of The Magic School Bus or Carmen Sandiego could have used that science to do something way better and make it work for 6th graders, right. As opposed to this garbage.
2 chapters left, 127.
Yeah, so she's for some reason has gone back to watching the 5 frame per second clip. I like this. Susan watched the clip as it went in and out of focus. She stared at Tankado's eyes. They seemed filled with regret. And so when I'm going to be dying on the sun-parched streets of a hellish Spanish city, I want my eyes to be sparkling with joy. I want them to be just like lighting up. So I vow that will be how I do it.
Well, with that harsh sun in the sky, they can only sparkle, but it's probably burning them and searing their retinas.
The after image. And they just keep laying it on thick. That he keeps thrusting his fingers. It's like it again is like he wants you to pick up on that before the characters do.
It's so stupid, though.
Yeah. Oh, I no argument from me.
Yeah. So I don't have much else for this chapter, I'm afraid.
Well, they say David says he's deep in thought. He says difference. He kept muttering difference between U-238 and U-235. It's got to be something simple. And so I went back because I was like, what are you talking about? And the only mention of U-235, no one has addressed this, like, is them in the table of contents, section B, U-235, U-238, and plutonium. So there's no way that David knew about that because David there wasn't any webcam. They were training on the table of contents that everyone was looking at.
Yeah, he wasn't scanning it with them. No hush fell over David.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's just a weird one. It's dumb that he's perplexed by that because there's 2 numbers and there's a difference between those 2 numbers that's very obvious.
And it's also the resolution of it is so entirely stupid, where a technician began the countdown. 5, 4, 3. The word made it to Spain in just under a tenth of a second.
So they've got that technician mic'd up really well to transmit to the guys in the van in Spain.
Yeah, and the 2 guys in the van are like, they're putting an earbud in David's thing, or they're like, hey, let me adjust the speaker so you can hear this, champ. And then 3, which I guess is David hearing it or something?
Yeah.
And so he's he's subtracting 238 and 235, but he needs to be reminded of what that difference is by having someone read a countdown into his ear? Is that what I'm right?
It echoes 3 5 times to get him to realize that 238 minus 235 is 3.
In slow motion, he reached for the microphone, and the guy with the crew cut slapped it out of his hand and said, "Look, civilian."
Yeah, look, proposal boy. Look, yeah, they were about to leak our buddy's covert operation, so why don't you just sit this one out?
You're not as pretty boy as that Brinkerhoff guy, but you're pretty attractive. But yeah, so that's how he discovers it, is by having someone yell 3, as we all do when we do subtraction and addition, 238, 235. Not getting it. Can I get a countdown? What? 3. There it is. That's it.
It's like dental plan. Lisa needs braces in his head over and over again. But yeah, I don't think his multiplication tables went up to, or his subtraction tables went up to 238 minus 235. So maybe that's why it took so long. Yeah, that's probably
it. Yeah, 64.
But then we get 3's fingers. It was not the ring at all. It was the flesh. Tankado was not telling them, he was showing them. He was telling his secret, revealing the kill code, begging someone to understand. 3, Susan whispered. 3, Becker yelled from Spain. 3, the difference between 235 and 238 is 3. Everyone in the room looked up. 3, they just keep yelling 3. Susan shouted over the deafening cacophony of sirens and technicians. She pointed to the screen. All eyes followed to Tankado's hands outstretched, 3 fingers waving desperately in the civilian sun. 3's prime, so she blurted. 3's a prime number. It's terrible.
It's dumber than anything you could have possibly imagined when you read the first dumb chapter. It was like, he's going to figure out a way to make this less dumb. No, exactly. It all goes dumber and dumber. And then right after that, Fontaine looked dazed. Can it be that simple? And then then the technician cries out, and here's where I lost. I'm like, look, it's obviously that simple, and we've all known it, so now it's just over. And then, outbound data, a technician cried. It's going fast. So I'm reading it going, all right, so they failed. So
yeah.
the data's terrorists have it. Okay.
Covers are blown. Yeah.
So,
they've,
all right.
Our missile secrets are leaked. They're already building the missiles in, Iran. But
I'm looking ahead and I see 4 pages. So I'm going, what the hell is happening? This is even dumber, right? Were you taken in by that as well? Like, why is, if the information's leaving, then you failed?
Yes, there's no VREP of VisRep of how the secrets are leaking out, whether it's like 10% downloaded type of thing. Like, someone has already gotten a document entitled, spy locations, like that has happened.
Right. All deep cover people in Europe and Asia. Here's the list. Here's their names. Here's pictures of them. So
right. Yeah.
Outbound data. That's what NSA is protecting, right? Okay. So you failed. You failed utterly. It's too late.
Yeah. I'm not sure why anything is treated as a success at this. There's not even a hand wave of that percentage or something. But this is, it does get dumber, because how does Susan stop this? Everyone on the podium dove for the terminal at the same instant, a mass of outstretched hands.
Everyone.
But through
yes.
Soshi, please! But through the crowd, Susan, like a shortstop stabbing a line drive, connected with her target. So hopefully we get some baseball this season. And so when I watch Trey Turner connect with start to turn a double play, I'm going to be like, wow, he nabbed that line drive just like you would press the number 3 key on a keyboard.
Right.
Like, what on earth is that conveying? That is that's in a book of terrible metaphors. That might be the worst.
I did not notice that one, but that is truly dumb. She's
pressing a button with her index finger, so I guess it's hard to sexy that up from an action standpoint.
I wonder why I didn't go with comebacker to the pitcher, but maybe we can interview him someday.
Sure, yes, like a 3-year-old pressing every button in the elevator. I don't know. But yeah, so they press it, they get the thing. Jabba says to upload the firewalls, but Soshi has already sent the command. Outbound interrupt, a technician yelled. Tie-ins severed. Which gets, as we all knew was coming, the room erupted, pandemonium. Technicians hugged, tossing computer printouts in the air. Sirens wound down. Brinkerhoff grabbed Midge and held on. Soshi burst into tears.
And then here is the hand wave from my earlier concern about it. Okay. They got it. They're breached. Jabba, Fontaine demanded. How much did they get? Very little, Jabba said, studying his monitor. Very little and nothing complete. So then what was that for? What did you do that for? Right. I mean, in terms of the drama, what the hell was that?
The countdown was to when the real countdown starts.
It's just a stupid false, a false beat. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. That is the dumbest thing.
Yeah, I mean, nothing complete. It's like, well, did they get part of the list of the undercover agents? Like, because losing one would really be far too many. Like,
yeah, are we really we're just okay with that? Like, you can look at that. You're looking at a very simple chart. Again, there were black lines representing sharks and sperm. So are you relying on that? Because if they got, the Social Security code of one of our deep agents, that guy's going to get his throat slit tonight. So can we be more sure of this?
Imagine how gigantic those leaks were of like target customer data. How like people freaked out from those, and then it's like, it's literal NSA data.
Like, they didn't get much. I wouldn't worry about it.
All they got were those, nude pics of the EFF president we were going to blackmail him with, and that guy can rot in hell.
Yeah, and everyone at the same time booed the EFF. Oh, man. All right, so we're coasting into the final dumbness here.
Yeah, they even though there's probably people who are going to be beheaded that night, they say, it appears Mr. Becker has a date. Can you see he gets home immediately? That's how the chapter ends, and 128 sort of starts back where we just our favorite thing in the book is perving on Susan.
Oh my gosh! And boy, does this does not disappoint at all.
Oh my God! It's if you're listening, not having read, I'd like you just to what you think is going to happen in this chapter, just how you'll think they'll describe their night back together.
All right. Do you
had time to write it down? Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. So do you have? I mean, we could read the whole chapter. It's so. Well,
sure.
Maybe it's a little too long, but what do you have as the salient points?
I hope little 11-year-old Billy is not listening. But,
please.
When Susan awoke, the sun was shining. The soft rays sifted through the curtains and filtered across her goose-down feather bed.
Ugh.
She reached for David. Am I dreaming? Her body remained motionless, spent. Still dizzy from the night before. What were they doing?
Still dizzy? David, she moaned. There was no reply. She opened her eyes, her skin still tingling.
Wow.
The mattress on the other side of the bed was cold. David was gone. I'm dreaming, Susan thought. She sat up. Now here we go. This is like, the room was Victorian. All lace and antiques. Stone Manor's finest suite. Her overnight bag was in the middle.
Stone Manor's sweetest.
Yes. Her overnight bag was in the middle of the hardwood floor. Her lingerie on a Queen Anne chair beside the bed. So again,
I'll just note that there's a hardwood floor ... her lingerie. So the ellipses themselves are very suggestive here.
But I mean, I guess again, just picture, I don't know, Hallmark, spicy Hallmark After Dark. What is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's just sort of how a romance novel cover, that sort of gauzy filter, as she draws the comforter around her naked body and reads the message from David.
But she also is unaware in the beginning of the chapter. I think he's trying to lead you to, is she actually dreaming? Because she says to herself, had David really arrived? She had memories. Like, again, she's in a fugue state. Like, what? Do you wake up and honestly, I mean, maybe 10 seconds of I've been in a...
Was that dream real?
I've been in a super dark room or something where you're in a hotel and you wake up and you go, 3 seconds, where am I?
Where am I? Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, yeah. Okay. But really? She doesn't remember whether whether her skin was tingling from in reality or what? Wow. Okay.
It's just, but it fits, it fits with how she spent the entire book of sort of being unsure about where she is and what's going on. So,
but then we get the finality of the dumbest thing ever, the thing that no one cared about, that we puzzled about, and then when you look up on the internet, I think is only this guy, and that's the without wax.
Yeah, that's what the letter says. The something without wax. It has been thoroughly debunked. It's on dictionary websites saying no way that this is true.
Is that true?
But
it's
yeah, we got a letter about it. I think we're not going to have
sweet.
time for letters, but it's just a it's like I don't know what, another just sort of urban legend about that is just sort of people accept it, but it just doesn't have any.
So he made it up.
Historical. He didn't make it up. It's a thing people think of.
Oh, they think of it, but it's just wrong.
Yeah, I can look and see what it says, but we can do that in a mailbag. But it's just not true.
Okay.
But he just used something that is it's one of those things people would say to appear clever, which is what he's doing here.
Well, I feel like all of etymology of word origins, you hear them and you go, yeah, that sounds plausible. It's from the Old English hossa and a horse, and it meant sturdy, and then you go like, yeah, that sounds reasonable, and then you read later like, that's just no.
Yes.
I mean, we've all done have you done the dictionary game? You just make that crap up and people bite at it. It's like, so he just made this up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as, making up Tankado or like, that name, or, making up mutation strings, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
But she wants to know. Tell me what it means. No chance, he laughed. A couple needs secrets. It keeps things interesting. Susan smiled coyly. Any more interesting than last night, and I'll never walk again.
Oh, man. That was just like, God.
Yeah, what is he? What did he bring back from Spain? Like, what kind of stores do they have in the airport? The duty free section.
What are you two doing? What are we supposed to imagine?
Yeah, skin is tingling from a cattle prod or something, and
I mean, I wonder if because she's so disassociative, does she think that maybe something else happened? Like, did someone kidnap me? Because she doesn't even know whether David was there.
Right? Yeah.
Was it even you? Yeah, weird.
But she also says, "Tell me," Susan pouted, "or you'll never have me again." And I was just like, Dan Brown has just got to be taking a cold shower after every one of these paragraphs. It's insane. He's just like, it's borderline the Mr. fiction.
But then it finishes with the dumbest moment of all time, the fake. When he asks, like, we're getting married or whatever. I'll just read it because it's so stupid. Susan lifted her head. Her eyes were filled with tears. "I'm sorry, David," she whispered. I can't. David stared in shock. He searched her eyes for the playful glimmer he'd come to expect from her when he wasn't making her, not be able to walk straight.
Right, yes.
It wasn't there. Susan? He stammered. He almost said commander, but didn't. Commander? I don't understand. I can't, she repeated. I can't marry you. She turned away. Her shoulders started trembling. That's a new look for her. She covered her face with her hands. David was bewildered. "But Susan, I thought..." He held her trembling shoulders and turned her body toward him. It was then he understood. Susan Fletcher was not crying at all. She was in hysterics. "I won't marry you," she laughed, attacking again with the pillow. "Not until you explain without wax. You're driving me crazy."
God. The heart wipe zooms in, and that's how the movie ends.
Book
wretched
across the room. You have got to be kidding me.
It's so annoying, and even more annoying once you realize that the thing is fake, that whole thing hinged on.
So awful. So that's the book, but
yeah, there is an epilogue.
Yeah,
and I don't think we need to do anything specific from the epilogue, but we can tell you what happens.
Yeah.
Tokugen Numatak, the Numa guy, is still annoyed in his office, and he is Ensai Tankado's father. He abandoned him out of shame, and they have just delivered the ring back to him as his only living relative.
And
so that it all paid off in the end. We thought those chapters were stupid and pointless, and boy, were we wrong.
I think I reread it, even though I was already annoyed. Still in high annoyance over "you're driving me crazy." So super annoyed, and then epilogue. So I'm very annoyed, and I read it. I did not understand why that mattered at all, and so reread it and still don't understand why it matters. Can you explain why it matters?
No, but we should have seen it coming. I mean, there's two Japanese guys, so in Dan Brown's universe, they were related, of course.
But one had no effect on the other thing, right? And nothing was. I mean, is it satisfying in any way at all, other than just going? See?
No, it is
okay.
not.
Right. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
And that guy wanted to buy the ring, but then, it's like, it's not even a twist. It's it's Alanis Morissette's definition of ironic. Right. I think to bring it full circle.
Okay, all right.
It's idiocy.
Well, wow, what a journey we've been on.
Hachi machi.
Holy moly!
I guess we probably have to put it in the canon. To me, it's not certainly obviously not as bad as Shadow Moon, not as bad as Bob Honey. Worse than the Mister, I'd say, just because of what it tries to do and fails at.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think the Mister had more, more joy to discover in the stupidity of it. And this was a little more dreary, but the same kind of attempts at moving a plot along and making you turn a page.
Yeah, I mean, it felt a little longer, but I mean, I had a lot of fun discussing it, so that adds up. I think it's worse than the Mister. I don't know where we rank White Worm in terms of all of that, but
yeah, I got pretty annoyed at the White Worm at the end. I'd rank this. Yeah, I agree with your assessment. It's worse than the Mister. Wherever that falls. See our previous comments about where I put the Mister. Yes, I don't remember anymore.
We'll organize the big board in our office.
I think that I ranked, and you I think disagreed, is I ranked Shatlart ahead of like the Mister, and
oh yeah,
I don't know. Those are the ones that get a little foggy, and
yeah, the weird realm of readable, but they have to be amusing to you.
Yeah,
in order, yeah. We can agree to disagree on those. No one thought they were good. No one has come to that level of infighting yet.
Yeah,
so.
And we're also not comparing them to the oddities like Dwight David Thrash. And I mean, I guess does Dale M. Courtney get closer to it? Or no, sorry, who's Trucking Through Time?
Oh, Charles E. Harris.
Charles
he's
Harris.
He's the bridge. He's the one that
bridging between the worlds of like it's possibly could have been an actual novel, maybe sort of.
Yes, those there's like the freak section, and when they need something, they send Charles E. Harris over to the actual novelist to as like their when they want food or something, they send him to negotiate.
Right. So yeah. So I'm counting out the oddities of your Jim Tice and all of those, and that's not. I don't put them in the same universe. So it's easier to compare them to kind of the more mainstream things that we've done.
No. Yeah. Well, I think we can do some dumb sentences and save some emails for a mailbag because we have gone long.
Yep. Well, there was a lot of chapters.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends with a period, or an exclamation, or a question mark. A sentence
the fact that we were able to burn, 6 or 7 of our dumb sentences means that there's quite a bit to sift through here. So let's get going.
He spoiled us. Yeah, we'll cover these. A lot of those we touched on, but might as well recap the greatest hits. Amanda submitted, in a brilliant flash of light, Commander Trevor Strathmore passed from man to silhouette to legend.
Mm-hmm.
Scott submitted, the commander rose through the trapdoor like Lazarus back from the dead. Elizabeth submitted, even sooty and soaked, Susan Fletcher was more striking than he had imagined. Andrew submitted, it was ironic Strathmore thought that Chartrukian had been right about the virus all along. Christina submitted, without wax, it was the one code she had yet to break. Christina wondered, what code did Susan break in the entirety of the book?
That's true.
Harris submitted, Freon was flowing downward through the smoldering translator like oxygenated blood. He puzzled as to why it needed to be oxygenated blood. There was one question about that metaphor.
Wow.
Justin submitted, primes worked well in code writing because they were impossible for computers to guess using typical number tree factoring. He said, we all know computers struggle with numbers like 3 and 7. Curtis submitted, primes are essential to Japanese culture, Fax King. Michael submitted, confirming overseas tie-ins, cried another technician. He described it as simple, beautiful, stupid. George submitted, then he fell to his knees, a sinner before an angry God. I assume that's Strathmore. He says, Jonathan Edwards would no doubt be horrified by all the blasphemy, fornication, and general idiocy in this book, but he would probably agree with the anti-Catholic sentiment. I remember that name. I always thought it was Jonathan Edwards was like a folk singer my parents listened to, but he was also a Puritan preacher, I think.
Yeah, in the First Great Awakening. Yeah.
Lucas submitted. This is all one rant. Jabba was probably speaking fast, but it's several sentences. Viruses reproduce. They make clones. They're vain and stupid binary egomaniacs. They pump out babies faster than rabbits. Why is he so angry at viruses? Lucas asked. Alex submitted, they look like sperm trying to breach a reluctant egg. He was unclear about what a reluctant egg looked like.
Yeah.
Andrew submitted, the water poured down from above. It was a midnight storm. He felt the need to point out that this line was not set outdoors nor at midnight.
Wow.
Janelle submitted, David Becker had never held a gun, but he was holding one now.
Oh, my God.
Alex submitted, all right, here goes nothing. Start subtracting. That was during the most intense moment of the book. Brian submitted, she vaguely remembered 250 metric tons of earth had been excavated to create it. Josh submitted, in most computer circles, VR meant virtual reality, but the NSA, it meant VisRep, visual representation. So he said, an abbreviation for an abbreviation. Why not just say VisRep? It takes literally the exact same amount of time, syllables, and effort. Good questions all around, people. Here we go. Here's one of mine. I had the oxygenated blood. I had a couple ones I had already read. I had enormous black man. This one is good. I think we touched on it, but we have a 5-tier level of defense, Jabba explained. A primary bastion host, 2 sets of packet filters for FTP and X11, a tunnel block, and finally a PEM-based authorization window right off the Truffle project. Hook the jargon to my veins.
I went with something less flashy because I knew that, look, we're going to get all those covered. And we covered some of them earlier. I just want to point out that this is a dumb sentence in any context, but it's, again, not flashy. The commander let go of Susan and turned toward the $2 billion computer. It's just so stupid.
Right. It's sort of his style of using the last names all the time. You just have to be reminded about the computer's value as he's looking at it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That would never be an action line in anything.
I also had, not being a religious woman, Susan had never expected to hear a response to her prayer.
Yeah.
Which I guess checks out.
Yeah, that does check out.
A lot of those were submitted by our Patreon people who have supported us for a while now, and it's been really great. Patreon.com/372pages. They wrote a book, for God's sakes. We've got that to review at some point in time.
But, super excited.
Yeah. We have, I'll have to compile that and see how that shapes up, whether it's more coherent than any of this. But join them over there and get in on some of that fun stuff. We've been doing meeting some authors that we have not been able to cover their works. Those have all been very fun. You've broken down English art songs. I'm not sure if that's enticing people or not.
Oh, I think that's bringing in the dollars, baby.
But thanks to all the Patreon supporters. We'll cover the mailbag for this episode in a separate one, but Patreon gets to hear what's next before everybody else. So tune in and find that out.
Can we tease the plot of the book, the Jackal book?
Sure.
Give them the plot. I mean, it's a pretty basic plot, right?
An alien has become president.
Yeah. I don't want to give away the end of it. That's just it. It's like an alien is the president of the United States.
Yeah, that's what you said as an elevator pitch, and we said, let's do that.
Yeah.
And you wrote the first chapter. I wrote one about 2/3 of the way through, or Kevin Murphy wrote one after that, and I wrapped it all up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be lunacy, I think.
So, but I mean, imagine that. Like, you've seen 15-minute movie things like, are you telling me the president of the United States is an alien? And we laugh. We're like, hey, we're going to do that. So anyway, that's the book. So I'm excited to see where people brought it.
Excellent. Well, another Patreon supporter, Taylor, has done this before. He wrapped up Ready Player One with a song, and he wrote another song for this one. If you had Billy Joel parody about Greg Hale on your 372 bingo card, congratulations. But he wrote a song. It was very funny, and so I thought we could go out on that note.
Yeah. All right. So let's go out with that. That was my dream, anyway, to end this whole book with a Billy Joel song parody.
Exactly. Yes. No, please. Yeah, it's.
I'm very excited. So here it is, and thanks to everyone on Patreon, and thanks for this song parody, and thanks for sticking with us through 128 chapters plus an epilogue of Digital Fortress. This is